What's up, everybody?
Are we on?
We're on. Of course we're on. You see the light on? What you asking questions for? Man.
Wow. What an experience that was.
Welcome to the show. Welcome on our, what is tonight? Monday night. I know it's late back east, but it is, it's getting late back here too. Little technical difficulties. We apologize. They got me trying to learn computer stuff, so it never works out that good.
Can everybody hear both Bryon and myself? Let me know in the chat.
Tried to use the microphone, but it wouldn't work, so.
South Florida, yes. Okay. Steve says yes. Okay.
We're good.
So this is, what day is this, Bryon? This is the first time that Bukenik, I'm not going to call him by his name. I'm going to call him Bukenik.
Okay. It's Bukenik. Bukenik. Now listen. The ick should stick. Okay? Bukenik.
Okay.
Bukenik.
But we give officers nicknames, right? Do you remember Lopez?
Yeah.
Matt, yeah. So I used to call him the Phantom because he'd be right next to me, and 2 seconds later, he's down the street doing a car stop, right?
Yep.
Yeah, DUI Matt. Matt was always going after DUIs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we had our friend, the dentist, Joey. Right?
The dentist.
Your nickname was the Cobra because you'd lose your temper in a split second. And I was called the Bull. Right?
Yep.
So I'm gonna call this guy Bukenik. Right? Because he makes me want to puke.
I like it. All
right?
I like it.
So everybody's be a little bit of a minute.
Yep. Everybody saw Bukenik. Sorry. You saw his first testimony. Yeah. We reviewed that. You guys watched that. This is second trial. So 2. This is Bukenik 2.0. I honestly think maybe he did worse this time than last time. I'm kind of like Gallagher.
Yeah.
What?
You ready?
Oh, I was born ready, motherfucker. Let's do this. Yeah.
Get this ready to go.
G will be working the computer tonight because it's out of my hands. Gonzo, it says my thing just crashed. My tab.
Where's the video at? It's gone.
See? It says my tab just crashed. You got to be kidding me.
What happened?
Come on now. Gee, it's saying hold on a second. I'm getting the video back up. Stand by, people.
Present.
Stand by. It's all good. Double B's on the case. Boom.
All right. Here we go.
Not a problem. Not a problem for me.
Ms. Gilman, if you could take us to 1054. And before we begin, Trooper Bukenik, is this a different location than all the video we've seen before?
I only put
this is
Brennan in the
Waterfall
beginning
Bar
for a
Grill,
reason.
Surveillance footage from inside the lounge area.
That is all Frost.
For reference purposes, this is at this location, the timestamp is accurate to the real time.
Ms. Gilman, could you begin at 1054, please?
Here we see the defendant, Mr. O'Keefe, walk into the bar and see their friends and engage in hugs and greetings.
We'll let the Waterfall Bar videos play.
I'm sorry, sir?
We'll let the Waterfall video bars play.
Yeah,
We'll just let them play.
Okay.
Look at your private chat, B.
It's nice. I can see the chat. I have a private chat. Bring me. You mean chat?
$11.46, please.
You know, I put this in here, G,
Yeah.
and then after like 20 hours of video time and looking at the screen, I forgot why I put it in there. I'm just going to be honest with you, America. Right along. So I'm just going to be honest with you. I put it in there for a reason, and then I forgot what it
It's
was.
probably to show them
So
how they were talking.
Jackson's coming up in a minute. Yeah, I left it in here for a reason, and I couldn't remember what it was.
1206, please.
Because I know they were going over how much Karen was drinking. Okay, we get that, but you know, they're all grown adults.
So when I'm going to pause that. So when we, oops, let me do that again. I can show that. We were in this second table that they're behind when we sat, right? Or was it the first table?
Yeah,
When we
the
went
video
there.
disappeared, G. We sat at the second table. Yeah, we sat at the second table.
1207.
Well, the closest one.
Right.
Yeah, the one in the center, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the female that recognized us was on the third
1210,
table over to the
please.
right. See, that was a while ago, and I remember that. She sat at that corner table on the right with her dad. It's in lights. Thank you. Yeah, it really bugs me that I can't remember why, but
Did you see the last person walk out the door on that video clip?
Yes, I did.
And did you identify who that is?
Yes, it's Mr. John O'Keefe. He's wearing the two-tone gray sweatshirt with the sleeves pulled up towards the elbows.
Is that the same clothing that you found at Good Samaritan Hospital when you went to visit?
Yes, it is.
The baseball hat, did you have an opportunity to look at the hat he was wearing?
Yes, I did.
Is that consistent with the hat that you and the group found on February 3rd, 2010?
Yes, it is.
The pants?
Yes, it is.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
he definitely wasn't wearing a big puffy coat.
Showing you Exhibit 108C.
Exactly.
This is already introduced to evidence.
Oh,
When you
man.
studied that photo, do you notice anything in Mr. O'Keefe's hand?
Yes, in his right hand, he's holding a short style cocktail glass with black drinking straw protruding from it as it is backdropped on the snow on the hood of the car that's parked outside.
Could we show 108C, please?
Damn, he's got some good details, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Ms. Gilman, could you focus the best you can on the drink? Is that the photo you looked at?
Yes, it is.
Can you point out or explain where you see the drinking straw?
Absolutely. Right there, to the right of the red indicator, you could see the straw protruding out of the glass.
Okay.
Mr. O'Keefe is holding in his right hand.
Who gives a shit?
Thank you. You can take that down, Ms. Gilman.
Straw didn't kill him. I don't even know why he's showing this. Who gives a
You can
shit?
take that down, Ms. Gilman. Thank you.
All right, you showed me a picture of a straw and a glass.
They use that
That's
straw
not doing
for
Bukenik,
trick you
Oh,
out
'cause
me.
the glass
in
was there.
2024, did you obtain ring video for that time period in 2024 from Mr. O'Keefe's home?
Yes, I did.
Did you provide that ring video to a person who works for a company by the name of Aperture?
Yes, we did.
And just very basically, do you know what Aperture does?
Yes, I do.
What do they do?
They assist in scientific fashion to reconstruct, test, and evaluate, analyze vehicle-involved crashes and deaths.
Is Aperture part of the Mass State Police team?
They are not.
Are they a private company?
Yes, they are.
May I approach?
Yes.
So that's their ARCA.
Right.
Handing in the item to you, do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's a ring video from 2024.
So what location?
Meadows Ave.
Thank you. I move this is evidence. No objection.
Thank you.
I have no further questions.
Okay.
Fine. All right.
Thank you.
Get him, Jackson. Beard is looking epic, as usual.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Sergeant Bukenik.
Good afternoon, sir.
I want to talk to you for a second about roles in this case, in this investigation. Would you agree with me that Michael Proctor was the lead investigator as well as the case agent in charge of this case?
He was assigned as the case officer for the case.
In that position, given the fact that it was his assignment, would you agree with me that he had a leadership role insofar as the investigation of the case was concerned?
I wouldn't call it a leadership role. It's more of a facilitator, liaison between the DA's.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second. Are they trying to change his position?
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Whoa, no, he
Nobody
was just a
said
water
case
boy.
agent.
He was just a water boy.
Nobody said lead detective. He was more of, you know, we just kind of get together and, you know, yeah. They don't want to say it, bro.
Exactly.
A case agent is the lead detective. I'm sorry, you're the lead detective.
Especially when you're assigned to that
Yes.
case and you're the
Correct.
number one guy, you're the lead agent.
Yeah, here in Metro, we call it, you're the case agent, just like
Yeah.
there. You're the
Yeah.
case agent, meaning you are running the entire case.
Yep.
You are the case agent. You are the lead detective, period.
And who does the lead agent report to?
Well, it depends on whoever's serving the warrant or whatever section of detail it goes to.
Right. So Bukenik is in charge of the detectives,
Correct.
right? So who does he respond to? Bukenik.
And what does he
That's
do?
all.
You know he's not going to write a report because nobody in Canton writes reports.
That's roll.
Personnel within the office and the state police. He also helps facilitate any missions, outstanding tasks that need to be completed.
He obviously had a supervisor, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
He obviously had a supervisor, correct?
He did, yes, that would be myself.
That would be you.
Yes.
Every case has some lead trooper in your unit, correct? Every case is assigned to someone to sort of be in charge and lead the charge of the investigation. Is that right?
Every case has a case officer that manages the investigation.
Right. And managing the investigation doesn't mean just, you know, sort of typing up schedules. It means actually managing the investigation, like deciding what search warrants are going to be written in certain circumstances. That's one example, correct?
They're responsible for writing and authoring those search warrants. Sometimes the recommendation, suggestion, or leadership comes from the supervisors or the DA staff where their experience might dictate otherwise.
And sometimes it comes from the lead case agent himself or herself, correct?
At times, yes.
Sometimes they
Every
lead.
team.
The investigation.
Back when you were in the military. You were on many, many teams in the Marine Corps, correct?
I'm sorry, you were speaking, facing away from me. I couldn't hear you.
Every team, including back in the time you were in the military, back in the time you were in the Marine Corps, every team has multiple individuals involved in that team, correct? That's the whole point of a team, multiple people, correct?
I would agree with you that a team consists of more than one person.
And there has to be some sort of echelon of leadership on that team, correct? Everybody's not just an equal, co-equal, correct?
We might have different duties, responsibilities, but some teams have equal rank. Yeah.
If there's going to be a team,
Pause. Pause.
Nope. Nope.
Pause.
Nope. 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 Nope.
Bullshit, Bukenik.
Yeah. Nope. Equal rank. Oh, okay.
That makes no sense, dude. He's trying to deflect everything, man. Already.
Yeah. Even
This
on
could
a
be a
small,
long.
yeah, even on a small squad like his, right? You have seniority, right?
Yeah.
Seniority. There's always seniority in police work. So you might not be a sergeant or whatever, but when you're with your guys, you're senior, right? And the senior guy is the one who's in charge if the boss isn't there. So there's always somebody. They're not equals, right? If
Well-
me and Gonzo were at a scene, I was senior to Gonzo, so I would take charge, right? Unless I was
Yep.
going to do something illegal, unlawful, or no, illegal or unlawful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or no.
Yeah. There's
illegal
always a
and-
pecking order.
Yeah, it was always a pecking order. So he's full of shit. He
Yeah.
just doesn't want to say it.
Jackson's gonna get it.
Team leader, right? That's a military phrase, team leader.
Illegal or immoral. That was it.
Yes, there is a team leader in the Marine Corps, in the rifle platoon, but not every team has a leader.
Did the team in this case,
Whatever.
in this investigation, have a leader? Someone who was assigned as the lead case agent? Not just another officer, not just another detective, but the lead case agent.
The case officer for the
Thank-
investigation was Michael Proctor.
But you don't
There
want to
you go.
say
There you
lead case agent.
Thank you.
Or case officer, correct?
10
I
minutes
refer
just to say that.
that billet as case officer.
Your responsibility as the supervisor over this particular case officer is, or any other case officer that you might have, or any other trooper that you might have under your supervision, your responsibility in no small part is to supervise the individuals under your command to ensure that the case is adequately investigated. It's properly investigated. That's part of your role as a supervisor, correct?
Is one of my many responsibilities, yes.
It's partly because you have more experience, I'm guessing, than the people under your charge. Is that right?
Certainly in my position, but there are many instances where a sergeant might have less experience than a well-seasoned trooper that's been in the office for 15 to 20 years. So
Fair
it's-
enough.
He's only been on 15 years.
That may be the case, but under ordinary circumstances, you earn your way into a supervisory role in the Massachusetts State Police through
should.
both not just time, but time and experience, correct?
Yeah. Should be earned.
We
Well,
take an
that's-
exam and
Yeah,
then get
yeah.
promoted based on the exam.
Part of the responsibility that you have.
Hold
is-
on. Hold
When
on.
your buddies are grading the tests,
But the
that's a
thing
good
is,
thing.
you have to have experience to pass the scenarios that they give you.
you would think, Gonzo. You
Right.
would think.
But what he's just saying is if I pass the test and the good old boys like me, I'm getting the blessing and getting promoted.
Yep.
Which I don't doubt this would happen here.
Wouldn't
Right?
Wouldn't doubt it. Yeah.
Dirty.
Yeah.
as a supervisor is to make sure that the case is properly investigated, and that may include making sure you have the right suspects, right? The array of suspects that may exist, you want to make sure, and you supervise to make sure that that array of suspects is appropriate and proper, correct?
In every investigation, we follow the evidence, we follow the statements made, provided by eyewitnesses, witnesses in the case. Sometimes the defendants or suspects provide statements to us. At many instances, those could be contradictory statements. We follow the evidence in every investigation, and that evidence determines who the suspect, person of interest, or ultimately the defendant is.
And you want to make sure that you gather, or that your subordinates gather that evidence in an appropriate and objective way. It's obviously the foundation of a good investigation, correct?
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
can you repeat that?
Oh my God.
What?
Maybe. You obviously, as a supervisor, want to make sure, you talked about following the evidence, you want to make sure that that evidence is gathered in a way that is adequate, in a way that is objective, that in a way that is unbiased, so that you can gather the evidence that will lead you to the right folks, right? To the right suspects.
We always want to gather as much evidence as possible. We conduct that gathering in the most appropriate ways possible. Sometimes there are tough decisions that have to be made where we have to either decide whether we're collecting evidence A or evidence B, and those decisions have to be made on the spot. At times it's a time-sensitive matter. At times it's a decision made by a group putting their heads together and deciding on that. So
Pause that.
I don't know if that answers your question, but
Not
that's,
really.
that's the most.
Let's try to.
They had time, man. That time was on their side. Officer O'Keefe was at the hospital, right? They had the scene locked down with the tape.
It was static.
It was completely static, which means somebody asked before, and we didn't get to it. I think static means it's quiet, it's stable, it's good. You know what I mean?
It's
Dynamic
controllable.
means it's crazy going on. Static means now you're working. It's it's calm. So
And let me say this. When he said you have to make a tough decision to either collect this evidence or that evidence, that's bullshit. You collect all
evidence.
evidence.
That is 100% incorrect, sir. Shame on you. Incorrect. Yeah, you collect all evidence. So you don't say, "Oh well, here's a murder scene. Do we want to collect this or that?" You could get with this, or you could get with that, or you could get with this, or you could get with that. Why don't you just take both? Because you're going to need them. It's a friggin' murder. You got a homicide on a front yard.
Yep.
So.
I agree. Ready?
Yep.
Where's my video? Oh, here it is.
Yeah.
Accurate explanation.
Okay. You done?
I am.
Okay. Let's try that again. You want to make sure that the evidence, as a supervisor, supervising your subordinates, you want to make sure that the evidence is gathered in an appropriate way, in an objective way, correct? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. You're also doing everything you can as a supervisor and someone with the experience to make sure that the highest levels of integrity and those demands are met in any investigation that you work on.
If there was a question of integrity, those individuals would not be part of an investigation.
That includes knowing, obviously, what your subordinates are doing.
During the conduct of the investigation, during the process of us investigating a crime, yes, we know what is going on, because every bit of information that comes in needs to be shared, and we need to make sure the whole team is aware of all the evidence and information that is available to us at the time.
You want to make sure
He's
that,
digging himself in a
I'm gonna
hole.
use a colloquial phrase, you keep tabs on those who are reporting to you, correct? What are they doing? What are they engaged in? When are they
Who
coming
reports
and
to
going?
them?
Who are they
The case
interviewing?
agent.
Things of that nature. Basic
Constantly.
investigative things, correct?
Constantly.
For the most part, you can't track every single person
Of course
all the
not.
time, but this is a very serious line of work. A lot depends on it. We speak for those that could no longer speak for themselves. So we do our best to conduct every investigation
that.
with integrity, honor.
Pause that, please. I can't believe he even just said that.
Integrity, honor, and we posit some other word that he was going to say. Listen, his first time on the stand, he didn't show any integrity. He didn't show any honor,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Lying through his teeth, trying to cover his ass.
I forgot what I was going to say.
That's all right. Ready?
I talked too much.
And
Yep.
get to the truth.
If you don't properly supervise, and I'm talking about your role now as a supervisor, if you don't properly engage in that supervision, it obviously increases chances for mistakes. It increases chances for bias to seep in. It increases chances that something could affect the adequacy of the investigation, correct?
That's a lot there. Can you repeat that, please? Maybe one section at a time?
Sure. If you don't properly supervise your subordinates in an investigation, failing to properly supervise them could increase the chances that mistakes are made. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
That's why you
Yes,
supervise.
that is one possibility. yes.
Okay, let's break it down. It also increases chances that there could be inherent biases that are seeping into the case that you want to make sure doesn't happen, correct?
Not here.
I believe that human beings all have biases, but during the investigation, those biases do not affect, especially in this case, they did not affect
Especially
any
in this
outcome of the investigation.
So I wasn't even
Especially in
talking
this
about this
case.
I was talking about cases in general and your supervisory role in general.
Should it be every case? Sir?
Your job as a supervisor is to seek out and make sure that there are no biases in an investigation, correct?
Absolutely.
You want to make sure that any investigation, as a supervisor, any investigation that is under your charge, under your supervision, is done adequately and professionally. Is that right?
Yes, that is right.
And there is a chain of command for that, right? Meaning someone under your charge needs to report up the chain of command to you, and you have supervisors to whom you report, correct?
Yes, it's a paramilitary structure, and it is in order for the colonel to keep command and control.
Let me pause it for a sec, Brian.
Yeah.
Let's explain a little bit about biases. All right.
Right.
So I was on a call, and I happened to know the guy that we were going to, and he was a POS, right? Didn't like us, and we didn't like him, especially me. I didn't like him, right?
Right.
Going in with that knowledge that I didn't like him, I was already thinking I'm going to throw the book at this guy, right?
Okay.
Sergeant Reyes, I was talking to him about this. He goes, then you need to remove yourself from this call before you get yourself in a jackpot, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a conflict of interest. Plus, I already had predetermined what I was going to do, right?
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't going to do anything illegal, but I was going to stack charges,
Right.
which, you know, we can do.
Yep.
We don't have to,
No.
right?
We have
That's
to
what he's
show-
talking about, biases.
Right. Yeah, and he was saying earlier, you know, I can't keep, you know, I don't know where my troops are at all times. That's not true. When you're doing an investigation like this, it's not unusual for the sergeant to get with his guys in the morning briefing and say, all right, Bukenik, what do you got going on today? What are you doing today? Oh, I got this interview, and then I got to go over to the hospital to do this. Okay, let me know the results of this and this, or that and that. All right, Proctor, what are you doing today? Oh, I'm doing this. All right, what are you doing? All right, I'm doing this. Right. So you know what they're doing, and then they're reporting back to you of the results. So you know, he knows. He just doesn't want to say it.
Well, that's why you call it briefing.
Yeah, briefing, and you have a
know?
debriefing. Debriefing with the detectives. Hey, what did we get done today? Okay, what's on the agenda for tomorrow? What's on the calendar for tomorrow? What do we got? Because when you got to do interviews and stuff, you have to plan them out. So you have a big chalkboard calendar, and that's what you use.
Yeah.
So he knows.
Yeah.
You know, you've all seen it in the TV shows.
Agency of 2,000
It's real.
plus
That's what they
people.
do.
It is absolutely necessary for there be a reporting up and down within the ranks of the Massachusetts State Police.
And you have, by the way, what's your chain of command? Who did you report to back in 2022?
I directly reported to Detective Lieutenant Tully.
At least it wasn't Gallagher.
Yeah.
I think that guy might be a little mental, like slow.
Especially in a case, you
Gallagher.
mentioned this case a second ago, especially in a case like this, a homicide investigation, especially in a homicide investigation involving a police officer. You have to maintain your knowledge, an intimate knowledge of those under your command, under your charge, to ensure that what they're doing fits what you believe to be the proper protocol. In other words, you're not just going to let people loose. You're going to watch what they're doing and actually supervise them, correct?
There you go.
Yes, absolutely. We are professionals, and we conduct each and every investigation with that in mind, and with the integrity that is necessary.
You just used the word I was about to use. That ensures the adequacy of the investigation, correct?
Yes.
To use your word, that ensures the integrity of the investigation. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
As you sit here today, do you believe that this investigation, now I'm going to turn to this investigation, was conducted with professionalism, with competence, at the highest level of integrity?
This investigation was conducted professionally, with integrity, and all the evidence collected, all the statements collected, pointed in one direction. There was no bias influence on the evidence, on the information that was collected.
Knew he was gonna say that.
Which direction the investigation pointed naturally.
Pause that.
Naturally. Bro, he's practiced that speech in front of the mirror how many times?
I don't know.
Because that's exactly what this case is all about, is the integrity of the detectives, the integrity of the collection of evidence, right? And processing of evidence. There was none. Because there was, I don't know how I could say it.
Well, Jackson's going to tear him apart because they didn't have
No.
any integrity with this case. It was handled completely piss poorly.
Piss poor.
Oh my gosh, we got no thing on there.
What happened?
I don't know. Disappeared. Aren't you supposed to make us bigger when we talk?
Yeah, well, you know what? Don't worry about
See,
it.
I got to teach Gonzo.
Michael Proctor was the person
I'll do it next
who was
time.
the assigned case agent, the lead case agent in this particular investigation, correct?
Michael Proctor was the case officer for this investigation.
Case
He was
officer.
assigned, ultimately, to use another phrase, as the lead investigator, wasn't he?
Okay,
Say
say
it.
it.
I'm not going to
Say
agree
it.
with you.
Whoa.
Is there a reason that you want to
Yeah.
try to distance yourself from
There you go.
naming Michael Proctor
Yeah.
as the lead investigator in the case? Is there some
What's the
reason?
problem, man?
I am not trying to distance myself. All I'm saying is the term that I use is the case officer. We're simply case managers. There's no leading investigation in any direction.
Yes, there is.
So, in your
Somebody has to
mind-
lead it.
Well, let me ask you this. He's a case officer, another word for that, synonym would be an investigator, right? He's a detective, an investigator, right?
He is a detective, yes.
And he was the one who was assigned by the Massachusetts State Police because of his on-call status that night, or that morning, January 29th, 2022. He was assigned to the case, correct?
Michael,
Yes or no? Assigned to the case. That's all I'm asking.
well, you said a lot before that,
No,
so
I didn't. I said he was assigned to the case. What I said before that was January 29th, 2022. He was assigned by the Massachusetts State Police
Yeah, he was an on-call detective.
as the case officer for this case. Right?
That's normal.
no.
Who was?
He was assigned to be on call a month prior. Just because he was on call, he was assigned the case as a result.
And
He
he's
was,
case
not, he
agent.
was not assigned the case right there and then, because his assignment began much earlier in the day.
That's dancing around the question, son.
Yeah, he really does want to distance
was.
himself from that phrase,
He was.
which is weird.
Because he was on call, any case that happened to come in
Yeah,
would be assigned to whom?
to
The
him.
on-call trooper that's on the schedule.
Which was whom?
It was Michael Proctor.
Just fucking say it, dude. Damn, man.
Let me just ask you this. Do
Why are
you
you so,
believe
why are you so scared to
that
say a name?
Michael Proctor, his involvement in this case, taints the investigation? Tainted the investigation?
A little bit.
No.
Not at all.
The investigation was done with honor, integrity, and all the evidence pointed in one direction only.
Honor and
Yeah.
integrity by Michael Proctor?
Not Karen. I don't know what evidence you saw.
Was that a question? I'm sorry.
Sure is. Everything I say is question. Honor and integrity by Michael Proctor, Sergeant?
Sustain to the comment. Go ahead and ask it again, Mr.
I'll ask you
President.
again. You said
Rephrase.
honor and integrity. Honor and integrity by Michael Proctor? Objection.
I'll allow it.
The investigation was conducted with honor and integrity, and all the evidence pointed in one direction and one direction only.
So,
There's the
Sergeant
speech again.
Bukenik, you don't want to answer my question,
Yeah, he memorized that.
correct?
I will answer your question, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you think this case was handled with honor and integrity by Michael Proctor, Sergeant?
The investigation was handled with integrity by Michael Proctor.
It was?
You do know that he,
What's his definition of integrity?
Okay, I'm gonna put this on big here. There we go.
What's his definition of integrity? Because
By Michael Proctor. His sphincter just tightened up like a knot, bro. Telling you what.
now this is the same lead detective, Michael Proctor, that never went to the scene, yes?
Yeah.
Within 12 hours, had a suspect located, yes? And already picked out and was gonna, had all the evidence led to her within 12 hours, never was at the scene, no interviews. Am I correct?
Don't forget about the PG rated text messages that he was
Oh.
sending.
Oh, those G-rated text messages that people read to their kids at bedtime, like bedtime
They were
stories?
private. They were private.
Is that the Michael Proctor he's talking about? That was done with integrity?
Honor and integrity. God save the queen.
Got it. Okay. Just making sure. I was a little
touched or had
confused.
input in nearly every part of this case, obviously, as
What
a
do I
police
know?
officer, correct?
He managed the case.
So he had some input or had some connection to nearly every part of the case, be it the physical evidence, the search warrants, the interviews, things of that nature.
He was one of the involved with collecting evidence, conducting interviews, and signing affidavits for the search warrants.
He didn't take a minor role in this case. He had a major role in this case. Would you at least agree with that?
No, he's not going to.
He had a role that was more significant than others. A major role would, to me, suggest that he had 51% or more. And with a team of the size that we had working on this case, he did not have a major role.
So you believe, as you sit here today, your testimony is Michael Proctor did not have a major role in this investigation of Commonwealth versus Karen Reed.
Yes, he
Because
did.
he didn't have 51% of something?
That's stupid.
That's your testimony?
That's the way I understand it, yes.
Okay.
That's stupid. How do you get 51%? Divide up the
You're
detectives.
aware of
They only have
the
like 5 detectives.
search warrants that were drafted, affidavits that were attendant to those search warrants in this case, correct?
Am I aware of affidavits drafted in
Search warrants
support-
and affidavits,
in support of the search warrants?
correct?
Yes, I am.
All right. You're also aware that there was a good amount of physical evidence that was handled in this case? Recovered, touched, booked, assigned or booked into the lab, things of that nature?
I am aware of the evidence involved in this case, yes.
That's
May I approach the witness? Your Honor?
Yes.
that's funny. He found 51% of the plastic.
He looks good though. I like the blue suit better than the black suit. He looks like he should be like right out of My Cousin Vinny, you know?
Let me pause it for a sec. How important, Brian, is it in a case like this to have a lead investigator, lead detective, whatever it is? And let me say this, if you have too many chefs in the kitchen,
Yeah.
and there's no responsibility, there's no chain of command, how much of a mess would that be?
Yeah. It's
Right?
got to be structured. Yeah. It has to be structured. It's got to be, even when you're with just your buddies, someone's always in charge. There has to be, because then you know, the boss is the way the mice will play, right? People run wild. So
And the
somebody's
thing
got to
is-
be in charge and be held accountable for everything and all the evidence that they're acquiring throughout this investigation. And they're supposed to be relaying it back to the boss. So this way, everyone's all on the same page.
If
It's
you're
not
on
rocket-
call,
It's not rocket science yet.
you're on call, you get signed a case, you are the point of contact for that case.
Yep.
Now, that will change if your boss says, no, don't take this case. Brian Beninsky has more experience in dealing with this type of stuff.
Right.
We're gonna give it to him.
Yep. And that happens. Yep. That happens. Yep.
And that happens.
Yep.
So that didn't happen here,
Mm-mm.
right?
No.
Sergeant
Let's
Bukenik,
roll.
I handed you a binder, and it's tabbed just for your convenience, so I don't have to walk back and forth. With
Thank
the
you,
court's
sir.
permission,
Yes.
Mark.
can you open tab 1? I'm not going to
My
ask
wife-
you to read the
my
entire
wife is the
search
tab
warrant,
queen.
but is that a search warrant that ends in 07?
Tabs everything.
Yes, it is.
And it's for generally Verizon records for Miss Reed's cell phone.
See, she is.
No, I would not agree with you, sir.
What is that search
Hey,
warrant
could-
for?
It's for Verizon records for a VIN number, which looks like a vehicle.
Is that the vehicle, the SUV, the Lexus SUV in this case?
I do not know for sure because it doesn't have that identifier here, and I don't know the VIN number off the top of my head.
Okay, fair enough. Who's the affiant?
Michael Proctor.
Can you turn to tab 2?
Holy shit! Gonzo, are you
Is that a search
surprised?
warrant ending in the
The
number
lead
1-4?
detective wrote the
Give me
warrant.
1 second.
I'm sorry,
I don't want to
1-3.
ruin
Multiple
your presentation here.
warrants.
Unbelievable.
Search
I'm
warrant
in
ending
shock.
in 1-3. I misspoke.
I'm in shock.
Okay.
Is that a search warrant for, generally speaking, Karen Reed's cell phone?
The quality of this photocopy is so poor, I cannot make out exactly what it's for, but there is an overlay of print. I can read what is presented to me, if that's what you want me to do. I do not know if this is an authentic copy of a search warrant.
Let's just look at the affidavit. Can you tell me who
Yeah.
the affiant is?
He knows where it's going.
Proctor.
You got all day.
On this document, the affiant is Michael Proctor.
Can you turn to tab? By the way, just staying with that for a second, you said you don't recognize it. Do you recognize it as being attendant to this case?
The application or the affidavit?
The search warrant. Well,
Again,
they go
the
together.
The application or the, together?
They go together.
I understand that, but I'm asking which document you want me to.
The document in total. In other words, it's not a search warrant dealing with a different case. It's dealing with Ms. Reed's case, correct?
Come
Is
on,
that
dude.
51% yet? No? We'll keep going.
Again, I
Maybe
cannot
like
say from the
45%.
search warrant because of the quality of it. The addendum A appears to be with this case.
Okay. Have you
And
ever
the
seen
F-
it before?
I'm sorry?
Have you ever seen it before, this search warrant?
I haven't read the whole thing, so I can't test it.
Okay, so if he's the lead or the supervisor for sergeant on this case, every search warrant has to go through them,
Correct.
right?
Yes.
At least before they submit it. Hey, Sarge, I'm gonna submit this search warrant. It's for Karen Reed's phone. I'm gonna submit this search warrant for her vehicle.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. And if he knows you, like say it's like me and you, right? We've been working together our whole careers. We're 20 years deep, and you're like, "Hey, B, I'm going to write a search warrant for the whatever." You know, if you have a rapport and you trust them and you know them, you won't check it every time. But either way, it's still got to get signed off by a judge. I mean, you're not going to get a warrant signed off unless there's probable cause, people. I mean,
Right.
well, unless it's
Here we go.
proven.
Right to that.
So this could be a search warrant that you never even saw?
Based on what you're presenting to me, never having seen or not having read all the details of it, I cannot say whether I've seen it before or not.
So you're not sure that Michael Proctor didn't just do the search warrant without your knowledge,
There you go.
as you sit here?
I don't know if this is truly Michael Proctor's
Think that
product.
think that might be a forgery?
I'm sorry?
You think that might be a forgery at the end of that affidavit?
Woo!
Well, for one, it's not signed, so I don't know who produced this. What I'm saying to you is I don't know who produced this. The quality of the first document, the narrative, I don't know who produced it. If you show me a search warrant application with an affidavit from court with a stamp, the timestamp and the stamp water seal from court, I will tell you that that's what it appears to be. What you've shown me here, I don't know what this is.
Otherwise, looking at that document, seeing the affidavit, seeing the addendum, seeing Michael Proctor's name on it, no clue whether or not that's a warrant that's attendant to this case that Michael Proctor drafted and submitted. You have
You
no
just
clue.
make him look bad.
I can't take you at your word.
I'm not
based on
asking
what
you to take me at
presented.
my word, sir. I'm not testifying. I'm asking you to take the document at his word. You
Yeah.
recognize it or not. If you don't, you don't.
If you don't, you don't.
I do not know.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's turn to tab
Move
3.
on. Yeah. He's so scared. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Does that
If
appear
you don't
to be a
recognize-
search
you don't
warrant
recognize.
ending in the number 1-4?
That's a 1 and a 4, sir.
Yes, it is.
And does that appear to generally be associated with
Chloe wrote it.
ring camera footage at One Meadows? Or can you not tell that?
It has a an email address, an associated MAC address, so yes, that's what it appears to be.
Okay, can you tell me who the affiant is?
Again, this is not a signed search warrant. This is just an affidavit.
Whose name is at the bottom of it?
The name at the bottom printed is Michael Proctor.
Can you turn to tab 4?
Now, see, if I would have had more time, this is where I would have added funny stuff
Does
going.
that appear to be a search warrant ending in the number
Proctor.
04?
Yes, it does.
And does that appear to be for ring footage also at One Meadows in 2023?
I think we're past 51%, right, G? Isn't that 3
Almost.
warrants already?
Most,
Right?
but they're not
Based
signed.
on the application addendum A, it's the same email address associated with the previous location of Meadows, yes.
Who's the affiant or affiant?
We got to be
Why
past
do you-
51%.
Why do you even have to look, dude? Just say Proctor. That's what he's doing.
I know.
Michael
I
Proctor.
know.
Can you turn to tab 5?
Oh. All right,
I
so if
agree.
we're
It's
gonna
5
be a
for
police
5,
RQ.
he's
It
100%.
does.
And do you see a reference in that police report for a search warrant ending in 10 for a telematic system regarding Miss Reed's SUV?
Are you putting those comments up, G?
Trying to.
And it may
Okay.
speed things
Okay.
up if you look at page 2.
I think you can do it
I don't
too.
know how to. So.
You
I don't know
can.
how
Just
to.
click on it.
There is a reference to it, yes.
Okay. Whose
Just click
report
on
is
one?
that?
It's Trooper Nicholas Garino's report.
And who is referred to on page 2 as seeking search warrant ending in 10?
There you go.
Captain America, baby. We could do this all day.
That search warrant was issued at Stone District Court to
It's highlighted in blue so
and
you can turn
presented
it off.
by Trooper Proctor.
Turn to page, tab 6, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you. Was that 5 or 6 for 6 for Proctor
He's
now?
6 for 6.
Do you see a search
That's
warrant
100%,
ending
man.
in the number 77?
I see the application, yes.
And this deals with Google, some geofence data, correct?
Yes, it is.
Who's the affiant?
I get what he's doing. He's got a job to protect. He's got a pension to protect. So he's got to be careful what he says.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
But we shouldn't have to be. You just tell the truth, you know?
Again, this search warrant is not signed, so, but I would say this isn't an actual search warrant, but it seems like at the bottom it says Trooper Michael Proctor.
If you turn to tab 7, please.
Shocker there.
Does that appear to be a report authored by Nicholas Garino?
It does.
Does that deal with John O'Keefe's cell phone?
Exactly.
Well, even if they went to jail, they'd still get their pension.
That's true.
Yeah. Somebody in the comments said something about that.
It's a
and
report written by Nicholas Garino referencing Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone, yes.
And it indicates that Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone was seized by a particular trooper?
That's what the report indicates, yes.
Who's the trooper?
In this report, it says that
It says that the lead investigator.
Trooper Proctor
Trooper.
secured the cell phone.
Turn to tab 8, if you don't mind.
How did
day.
he dare say that he was not 51%?
Do you see a similar
involved?
report by Trooper Garino?
How dare
Yes.
him say that?
And do you see reference to Karen, pardon me, Karen Reed's cell phone having been seized?
Yeah. Right. Oh, I missed it. Thank you.
Yes.
And that was seized by Trooper Proctor also, correct?
Yeah, him and I were there together.
His name is in the report, though.
Yes, his name is in the report.
Your name is not in the report, is it?
I'll have to check. Give me a second, please.
Bet you would keep my name out of that.
He
But he
bypassed
can't.
me altogether.
Well, he can't.
My
You can't
initials
keep
on
your
it.
name out of that.
Turn to tab 9.
This is too big. Maybe in the beginning, if it, but it's.
Do you see a
it's
report by
monster.
you
I do.
indicating early spring 2022? There was a CPD video requested by somebody, correct?
Yes.
Who did you indicate requested that CPD video?
The case officer, Trooper Proctor.
And you went and actually, in this instance, you actually went and got the video and delivered it to him, correct? At his request.
Yes, as the case officer, I would, yeah.
Because as the case officer, he's entitled to ask for things, have them delivered, correct?
Anybody's entitled to ask for things, absolutely. We are pursuing justice. We're looking for any and all possible evidence.
I'm sure you are. As the case officer, he's entitled to ask for
Sure you
things
are.
to be delivered to him,
Yes, yes.
even by his supervisor.
Yes, absolutely.
If you don't mind turning to tab 10, please.
That's what he is.
Do you recognize that
Water
report?
boy.
I'm sorry, I was still turning.
Ow. Fucker. I'm injuring myself over here. He slipped and called him the case officer. Oh.
It's the same report.
Same report, different paragraph, also talking about, or the different sentence, talking about a July 2023 CPD or Canton Police Department video that was also requested, correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Sure. That particular part of the report, where I'm directing your attention to July of 2023, there was a Canton Police Department video requested by someone, correct?
Yes,
Who was that requested by?
Trooper Proctor.
And who delivered it to Trooper Proctor?
I did.
Turn to tab 11, please.
Like a Uber.
Do you see a document referencing the
Thank you for the
analysis
super
of
sticker.
Canton Town Library video?
Hey, it's me. Let's
Hey,
go.
it's me. Thank you. It's
I
me.
do.
Hey, it's
And
me.
who is it
Trooper
that's
Proctor.
listed as having received and
Thank you.
reviewed and analyzed the town library videos?
Give me just 1 second. I have to read the report.
Hey, it's me. He's got to read the report. I wonder what's going through his head, man.
Nothing.
It's I wouldn't want to be on the stand having to not tell the truth, you know what I mean, and do stuff like this. I'd be a nervous wreck, man. I mean, I believe he is not telling the truth. The slow
It was
reader.
Trooper Proctor that analyzed the video and wrote up the timeline.
Thank you. Sergeant, if you'll turn to tab 12.
Are we at 51% yet, America? Ride-alongs?
Do you
I think we
recognize that as
passed it.
being a November
7 for 7.
2023 report?
Yes, it's report number 83.
And who
know
authored
in
that
the comments.
report?
This report is authored by Trooper Michael Proctor.
Does that indicate, and I'm not going to ask you to go through the entirety of the report, but
Yeah.
if you scan that report, does that indicate certain items of evidence that Trooper Proctor claimed to have recovered on his own pieces of plastic, small black plastic, clear plastic, fragment of glass on February 11th, 2022.
Ben's almost
Three pieces
there.
of clear plastic
He's
on
almost
February
convinced.
11th, 2022. Clear and red plastic pieces on February 18th, 2022. Is all that referenced in there?
Those items are documented in this report as were collected, yes.
And those are all documented as having been collected by Trooper Proctor himself. Right?
Yes,
himself.
yes, they were.
And if you'll turn to tab
By himself.
13.
No witnesses, nobody else.
Let me pause it for a second.
Yeah.
If I was Bukenik right now, I would say, let me take a minute to explain a few things. I would say, I compare my coworkers like Christmas tree lights. Some hang around and some ain't that bright.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And some are just dim and burned out.
Yeah.
This is an evidence submission form, correct?
I'm sorry, 13?
Tab 13, yes, sir.
Point 009. He's not even a
Yes,
1%
it's
for
a
all that?
copy of an evidence submission form from
Michael Proctor.
March 14th, 2022.
And that indicates submission of certain items of physical evidence from Massachusetts State Police custody to the crime lab, correct?
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
would say so, based on this copy's information on there. Yes, I would say so.
And who's the person who submitted the items that I'll ask you about?
It is Trooper Michael Proctor.
Okay.
And those items include clothing,
There we
is
go.
that right?
I'm going to go,
We
he's
have to go through it
100%.
line by line, but generally? You see clothing items mentioned on there?
The first line is a clothing item, yes.
That includes a lot of what we saw today, Sergeant Bukenik, the shirt, the orange shirt, the sweatshirt, blue jeans, belt, correct?
That's a good question right here.
Blue jeans, belt. What was the other thing that you listed?
Shirts.
There was a shirt, yes.
It also lists certain items of plastic, certain items of glass, is that right?
Some of those items are listed, yes.
And it even mentions the straw that you talked to Mr. Brennan about, correct?
Yes, the straw is mentioned and numbered.
And all of those items were submitted on March 14th, 2022, correct?
That's what the form indicates, yes.
And all of those items were submitted by Michael Proctor from his custody and control to the crime lab,
Yeah.
correct?
Correct.
That's who signed the form.
So the things that, according to the form at least, and your experience with forms of this nature,
Yep.
it was Michael Proctor who possessed and controlled those items before they were turned over to the to the crime lab, correct?
He signed it.
That would be accurate, yes.
So he would have maintained all of it, is that right?
Yep.
At least at some point?
They would have been in his custody as he's transporting them for processing at the lab, of course.
And then after he maintained control of it, eventually he turned it over and submitted those items, correct?
If the form is accurate, then yes, that's absolutely right.
So
If the form.
we've just gone through a few things. What you and I have just gone through is not nearly everything that Michael Proctor was involved with in terms of this investigation, correct? We didn't talk about witness interviews, right?
We did not talk about witness interviews,
So
no.
there's a lot more that Michael Proctor on a day-to-day basis as the case officer was involved in addition to what you and I just talked about, right?
Yes, there was many more things he was involved in. As I mentioned, that was just report 83. There's
What's this?
It's the White House.
a part in the investigation is the case officer managing
What's the problem?
the tasks. But there's a lot of people involved in this investigation.
So he touched or authored
I apologize.
or reviewed or
I
controlled
apologize.
at least every bit of what you
Where
and I
the
have
fuck
talked
that
about
came
this
from?
morning. All these items that we've just talked about, correct?
Just, I don't know.
He is referenced or is his name appears on most of these documents, yes.
As a matter of fact,
If not all.
Of the
If
ones
not-
that we just went through, he's not just referenced, he's the author of
Yeah.
every single one of them.
Of all of them,
Correct.
man.
No. Nicholas Garino wrote some of these reports.
Sorry, the author of the search warrant. I asked you to look at Nicholas
Garino,
Garino's
yeah.
report
Okay,
to
Texas
reference
and
the
shit.
search warrant that Nicholas Garino referenced in his report.
We got
and
swatted,
Michael Proctor
son.
was the author of that search warrant, correct?
Again, I'd hate to do this to you, but
Oh, I don't think you do.
Hate to do what?
some of these search warrants could not be authenticated. I don't know what these documents were. I didn't read them, so I can't tell you that he was the author. Like what you presented, I can't speak to.
You just made my point. Even as the supervisor, you don't know everything that Michael Proctor
Yeah.
is doing. do you?
No, it's impossible to know everything somebody was doing.
Got it. Especially the case officer on this case, as busy as he was, right?
I'm sorry?
Especially the case officer on this case, as busy as he was, Michael Proctor, right?
He was keeping us and his supervisors abreast of what was happening, the next step, the search warrants he was writing, the evidence that was being collected, the interviews that were being conducted,
Yeah.
court
Steve?
dates and motions and stuff like that.
So he would
They-
do the work and then keep you, as you, the word you just used, keep you abreast of that work.
Yeah.
Right, unless I was involved with the investigation myself. We did a ton of interviews together, as I authored some of these reports as well. I said there was 100+ reports.
I'd like to see.
So
those.
you were notified on January 29th, 2022, that a Boston police officer was found gravely injured in front of 34 Fairview in the lawn, in the yard, correct?
No, that is not correct.
What were you notified of?
When the notification came in, it was that there was a male party found in the snowbank.
At some point, you learned that male party was John O'Keefe, a police officer, correct?
They're all smart water.
Oh.
They all take a swig, man. Pass it around.
I know, man. Our subs, man, our members chat. I don't know whoever, man. You guys are like comedians,
Vicious,
man.
man.
Comedians. I love it. Cracks me up. I just happened to catch that one. I was like, whoa.
If Jackson would have said, okay, who else was reporting to you as often as Proctor was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me know so we can get him on the stand and
Right.
ask him questions as well,
Right. Yeah.
right? That's funny, dude. You ready?
Yep.
Let's
Oh wait, we
roll.
got a Katie
I
says
gotta get some-
$9.99.
Thank you, Katie.
Orange shirt, different shoes.
Sorry. Seahawks? What the? No, it's the Eagles. Eagles. That's your team there, buddy.
What are we looking at?
On the
Orange shirt, different shoes, no problem. What's
yeah,
she
but
talking-
she's got a little eagle emblem on there.
Oh, Eagles. Yeah.
Forget it.
Mhm.
At some point, we did
I'm
learn
late,
that
sorry.
he was a Boston
tired.
police officer.
Matter of fact, you learned that morning. May not have been the first notification, but certainly early that morning, you knew that John O'Keefe was a Boston police officer.
At some point, we learned. I don't remember exactly when. If it was morning, just after 12. I don't know when, but we did learn that he was a Boston police officer.
And I'm not asking about what Trooper Proctor learned, but what you learned. You learned that he was a Boston police officer, correct?
At some point, I learned that he was a Boston police officer, yes.
And on January 29th, did you ever respond to 34 Fairview Road?
Let me
at
pause
any
that for a
time?
second, Brian. At some point, I learned, right,
Mm-hmm.
that he was a Boston police officer.
Yeah.
Dude, if there's an NHP, Northtown, Boulder, Henderson, if a cop goes down, we all know
Everybody
within an
knows.
hour at the latest.
Yeah, it's even quicker than that. I mean, it spreads like
Yeah.
wildfire. I mean, wildfire. Within about 20, 30 minutes, most of the cops know, unless you're sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
dude,
It spreads fast. But this small
complete
town,
disrespect.
somebody in the chat asked, has it not, why wasn't it addressed at officer down? And it has been addressed in the trial. It just, they just won't answer the proper way. They keep saying, well, I wanted to, remember what Jen said, I wanted to get help there immediately. So I just said, there's a guy down.
Yeah.
Like, that's ridiculous. You say
That's
officer
not,
down.
that's an
So-
expedite.
So it has
everything.
been addressed. They just, I don't know, gee, what do they kind of just gloss over it.
Yeah.
You know, it's a shame, but.
On January 29th, 2022, at no point in time did I or Michael Proctor, who was with me the whole time, ever respond to 34 Fairview Road.
So the answer to my question, very simply, is no. Right?
And you're proud of that.
That's correct.
Never went to the crime
You
scene.
just answered this question as well, but I want to make sure we're absolutely clear. Your Honor, may I approach? I don't want that
Okay.
guy here to be in the witness's way.
So he's like happy about that. Him and his lead investigator
Yeah.
never went to a crime scene of a murdered cop
At no
or a
point.
dead officer.
On January 29th, 2022, did Michael
Unbelievable.
Proctor respond to 34 Fairview either? Did he?
Unbelievable.
No, he did not.
You already indicated and you described in some detail that Massachusetts State Police took over the investigation from Canton Police Department around 8 or 9 a.m., correct? Following certain protocols.
Yes, at some point in the morning, once it was determined that Mr. O'Keefe was gravely injured and was being transported to the hospital with no signs of life, and we were advised that he had a estimated 10% of survival rate, we engaged our services and responded to Canton Police to begin the investigation.
So the answer to that question is yes, correct?
Yes.
Long way around. Let's circle back.
You'll often work with a local police agency, even though, a police department, even though Massachusetts State Police may have statutory jurisdiction over the case because it's a homicide, right?
Yes, part of our mission is to aid and assist local police departments when they request it. In this specific situation, as I stated earlier, the DA's office has exclusive jurisdiction over death investigations, and our office has that responsibility of investigating those cases. But we work very well with local departments.
So the answer to that question is yes, correct?
Yes.
If you can answer my question yes or no, this will go a lot faster.
Yeah.
In this case, even though you oftentimes work with local law enforcement agencies, it was determined that you would not continue working with Canton PD because of a conflict or the perception of a potential conflict of interest, correct?
To alleviate any perception, not that one existed, the Canton Police Department recused themselves from being involved in the interview portion of the investigation.
And that's in no small part because the lawn on which Mr. O'Keefe was found belongs to to Bryon Albert, and Kevin Albert, Bryon Albert's brother, worked as a detective at Canton Police Department, correct?
That was my understanding why they chose to take those steps.
Your first documented action in this case was to call the medical examiner's office. First documented action, not the first thing you did, but the first thing that you documented that you did was to call the medical examiner's office at about 10:41 a.m., correct?
I'm going to pause it for 1 second.
Okay.
So at the very beginning, before the cross, his frown, hey boy, turn that frown upside down and let's have a smile. It's getting deeper and deeper, that frown.
Yeah. Yeah,
He's
look at that
getting
face.
work, son.
Yeah. He's got those eyes, man.
Yeah, poor guy.
Mm.
He's in it to win it.
In what respect are you saying first documented action?
There's a report where we can look at the earliest thing that you did, and it's actually written down and documented. You know what I mean by documented? Written on a piece of paper.
Yep.
In that respect of documentation, I would have to look into it. I believe there was something probably before that, since there was a documentation of us getting notified of the incident.
At 10:41, let me just ask it a little bit more straightforward if I can. Just get to the point. At 10:41 a.m., you called the medical examiner's office to inform them that Mr. O'Keefe, quote, was struck in the face with a cocktail glass, or at least appeared to be, correct?
That is in part what I advised the medical examiner's office, where they are responsible for the medical portion of.
Objection, Your Honor. May we approach briefly?
Okay,
Yeah, this
Let me
dude's,
pause it for a sec.
this dude's having an idiot moment.
Well, the thing is, Bryon, when we respond to an incident, and we've said this before, right? We know what a guy's face looks like when he's been punched and pummeled,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
We know what a body looks like when it's been hit by a car.
Yep.
Right? So an officer's first instinct, first reaction, or first comment is generally correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when he arrived, he said, this guy looks like, well, he never saw him, right? But the officer said that he looked like he's been in a fight,
Mm-hmm. EMT
Right.
said the same thing. Yep.
right? So,
Yeah.
cover up.
Yeah, man.
Did you
all
edit
right,
this out?
so
Or there
Sergeant,
you
I'm
go.
going to ask you to
Attaboy.
do your best to answer the question that's asked.
Yes, Your Honor.
You'll be here all day.
All right. This is was that
May I
the
have
break
just a
or
moment, Your
date two?
Yes.
Did you contact the medical examiner's office in the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Yes.
And did you state to them that there was a possibility that the decedent, John O'Keefe, was struck in the
Thank
face
you.
with a cocktail glass?
I don't recall my words exactly, but that sounds accurate to what I might have said.
Mike. Did you catch that?
At least your
Not what I
initial
said, put in the report.
investigation
Now it's
during
Mike.
those
I said.
early morning hours, those critical hours, led you to believe at least that there was a possibility that there was a physical altercation, correct?
Yes.
What steps did you take at that moment to determine whether or not anybody in the house may have been involved in that physical altercation that you thought was a possibility?
That's a compound question. I have to answer it separately.
Answer it however you want to. It's an open-ended question, which is unlike
Yeah.
me.
Let's
What
hear
steps
it.
did you take to, at that moment, to determine whether or not anybody in the house could have been involved in that possible physical altercation that you just described?
We interviewed the homeowner and two witnesses that were in that house.
You never went into the house, did you?
Witness what?
On
I
January 29th, at least.
He was outside, right? How
I
did they witness
personally
anything?
did not go in the house.
You did not secure that house or remove the occupants, did you?
No, you did nothing.
Which day?
January 29th. I'm talking about the morning of January 29th.
Which day?
I did not know.
You did not secure the yard as a crime scene, correct?
That's correct.
You didn't conduct any search of that house.
No, I did not.
You didn't take any photographs of the interior of that house.
I did not.
You didn't ask a forensic criminalist to join you and process the house, correct?
That is correct.
You didn't set up a crime scene log to determine who is coming in and going out of the potential crime scene.
I did not.
No one actually documented the crime scene by taking contextual photographs and then close-up photographs, etc., during those early morning hours, correct?
I cannot speak to that. I was not there.
So the answer is you didn't do that. And you didn't cause that to be done.
Nope.
I did not do that.
Crime Scene Services section, what is that?
Dr.
It's
Malone,
a
you're
unit,
correct.
Specialized unit on the state police. They are specially trained with documentation, photographs, video, latent fingerprints, foot and tire impressions, footwear and tire impressions. They assist other
Collecting blood.
investigators in documenting and processing scenes.
Did you contact CSSS to process the house or the yard or the area adjacent to the yard?
Which house, sir?
34
Oh my
Fairview,
God.
Sergeant Bukenik. Do you think I was talking about a different house?
Yes, I did.
Sir,
Really? Okay.
Yes.
really? Because you're a
Let's
fucking
stick
idiot.
with 34 Fairview.
What a fucking wise ass, this guy.
Bro,
What a wise ass. Oh, I thought you were. The fuck you were, dude. Come on, man. You know exactly what house he was talking about. That's some bullshit, man.
what do you think the jury
Bullshit.
sees, man? Exactly that, man.
I hope they see and I hope they feel like I do. You
Bro,
know
I
what
would be
mean?
like, if I was in a jury, I'd say 34 Fairview, you dipshit.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
The same house you've been talking about the past 10 minutes, motherfucker.
The house that
What are you thinking?
you didn't go to.
Yeah. Hello? We're on Earth. Where are you? What the fuck?
Okay, let's roll.
Where John O'Keefe's body was found. Did you call CSSS out to the scene to process that house?
Of course you did.
I did not contact Crime Scene Services on January 29th to the area of 34 Fairview Road to the lawn where John O'Keefe's body was found.
Why?
You
Why
mentioned
didn't
that you conducted interviews that day, correct?
That's correct.
Where were those interviews conducted?
The first interview was conducted at Canton Police Department. The second, third, and
4 years
fourth were
later.
conducted at a residence in Canton. The
What was the
fifth,
I'm sorry, what was the first interview at Canton Police Department that
Oh,
morning?
we were at 2.
Sergeant Good.
So other than Sergeant Good, I'm talking about civilian witnesses. You mentioned 3 civilian witnesses. Where were those 3 witnesses interviewed?
At a residence in Canton.
But not at
34
34 Fairview, just to be clear.
They were not at 34 Fairview, no.
They had been at 34 Fairview, though, hadn't they? All 3 of them.
Yes, they had.
As a matter of fact, Michael Proctor spoke to one, at least one of them.
Hold on a second.
What do you say?
I just thought about something.
What?
Can you imagine the notes that Brennan's taking right now on all the redirects? It's gotta be 100 pages, man.
Okay, so when you say that, this is what I picture. I picture Jim Carrey in the God movie, Bruce Almighty.
Yep.
Because he's
Oh
got
my
a lot
gosh.
to do.
He's got a lot to fix.
Well, she was at 34 Fairview, correct?
I don't know.
Weren't you with Michael Proctor when he spoke to Jennifer McCabe?
Which time, sir?
The first time he called her to set up the interview that morning on January 29th. You
I
weren't
don't know where Jennifer McCabe was. I can't testify to that. I have no
Okay,
idea.
so if that call was made, if she talked about that call being made, that was made by Michael Proctor, not by, outside of your presence.
Can you repeat that?
Sure. If there was a call made to Jennifer McCabe by Michael Proctor that morning, that was outside your
Did you hear
presence.
Not necessarily. I just did not know where she was.
So the only
you hear the phone
3 people you interviewed were Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Bryon Albert, correct?
Not correct.
Who else?
The defendant.
Other than Miss Reed, and before you got to Miss Reed, because you didn't get to Miss Reed till 3:34, correct? In the afternoon.
In the afternoon, I don't know exactly what time we began the conversation.
I'm talking about in the morning when you were trying to figure out what was going on. You interviewed three people,
Kicking my own name.
Yes, we did.
three civilians.
At one point, we interviewed 3 civilians, the homeowner at 34 Fairview Road, and 2 witnesses that were with Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant the night prior, and then one of the witnesses that was with the defendant when Mr. O'Keefe was discovered.
And these are individuals that you made the assessment had either been with or shortly, been with at the time or shortly before he was last seen alive, correct?
Based on the information that we had at that time, one of the individuals was with him right before he was seen alive, and the other
Right
2,
before he was last seen alive.
Last thing like that.
one of the individuals was with him right before he was last seen alive, and 2 of the individuals saw the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe together.
And those same 2 individuals were also with Mr. O'Keefe just minutes before he was last seen alive. At the waterfall, correct?
All 3 of the individuals were with Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant at Waterfall, yes.
And all 3 of the individuals were also at 34 Fairview when Mr. O'Keefe arrived. You had that information, didn't you?
We did
That's a
not
good
have
question.
information of Mr. O'Keefe arriving at the house. He was dropped off on the lawn.
And all 3 people, all 3, were either named McCabe or Albert. Those are the 3 people that you had information from, correct?
Which information? We had information for a lot of different sources at that point in time.
We're talking about the first 3 interviews that you did, the first 3 civilian interviews you did that morning. Still on the same thing. You mentioned
Right.
talking to 3 people at a residence in Canton. Brian Albert, Jim McCabe, Matt McCabe. All 3 were at 34 Fairview when they indicated John O'Keefe arrived in an SUV. They all told you that, right?
They were inside the home when the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe arrived in the SUV.
These are the very people that would have a motive to lie if they were somehow involved, right?
Can you answer that, Sergeant?
No, Your Honor.
You're a professional investigator, correct?
That's correct.
Homicide investigator, right?
That's correct.
Many years of experience, right? Is that yes?
I don't know what many means to you,
No,
but
of course not.
What?
How many years of experience do you have?
in homicide,
Not enough.
Correct.
10
Not
next
enough.
week.
Okay. That's how
Bullshit.
I didn't answer the first time because I don't know what you would think many is.
Pause that, G, for a sec.
Yes, sir.
10 years in homicide, and that's how he does an investigation, and he thinks that's acceptable and proper, America.
He thinks it's funny.
Yeah. 100%, 100% wrong. He is. Okay? That is not how you do a homicide investigation at all. That is the opposite of what should have been done. Go ahead.
We were
Just so
never
you-
in homicide, and we know that.
Come on, man.
Suspects ever lied to you?
Yes.
Suspects lie to you all the time, don't they?
Yeah.
All
Yep.
the time is not accurate. They lie about certain things to create an alibi for themselves and state
Just like you are.
contradicting facts or fabricated stories.
And if someone
All the
has
time would mean that they're constantly lying about everything.
What an asshole.
you understand,
Sorry, he knows
understand
about-
colloquialism all the time?
Fabricating
I
Suspects-
do not know the term colloquialism.
Okay, let's try it a different way. If these 3 individuals were involved in the death of John O'Keefe or knew others who were involved in the death of John O'Keefe, who they were close to, they would have a motive to lie about that, correct?
Yes. They would.
But you took
Answer
these
it
three
anyway.
individuals just at their word, based on those first three interviews, just at their word, based on those first three interviews, correct?
No, not correct.
You didn't go in the house. You didn't search the house. We've already talked about that, right?
I did not go into 34 Fairview. No, I did not.
You didn't ask them to come with you down to the station, correct?
That's correct. I did not ask them to come to the station.
As a matter of fact, when you went to interview Jennifer McCabe at her home, Bryon Albert happened to be there, correct?
He was there, and I was able to conduct the interview at the house with Bryon Albert, yes.
Did you find that odd?
Absolutely not.
I do.
Totally normal for you to conduct a formal interview in a homicide case and have an extra person show up at the house just to
Hey, how you doing?
be there?
Here for the interview.
Absolutely. Cooperating witnesses always try and be assisting. So cooperating.
There's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference.
Cooperating witnesses are there to help with assistance. No, that's not what happened. This is what happened. You remember?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, is that right, Hap? Okay.
Yeah. That's why you separate them.
Exactly. Exactly. This guy is a prick.
Yeah.
Exactly. Let's
Yeah.
go.
Witnesses would assist us.
You just use the word always. You didn't know what all the time means. But they always try to be assistant.
Yeah.
Well, they're cooperating. It's in the nature.
They always try to help you out.
I've learned that everything that comes out of their mouth is a
All
lie.
right, maybe I misspoke. They are cooperating
Most of the time.
witnesses. So always is such a finite, definitive statement. I apologize for using it.
Too late.
And if
Too late.
an investigator were keeping an open mind, right, open to all possibilities at the beginning of the investigation, someone that you now are calling a cooperating witness might well be a suspect who's lying, correct?
Yes, yes.
That's
there's
a possibility.
That is a
Does
possibility,
happen,
yes.
yeah. Suspects lie once in a while. Cruel world.
Even witnesses lie.
Yeah. Yeah.
You better take a swig,
So,
son.
just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
I used to
Dumb
think
water.
that I used to think the kids lied the most, but working as a cop for 22 years, I learned that adults actually almost lie more than the kids.
Yeah.
You know, it's very disheartening, America, when people are lying right to your face and you already know the truth. It happens a lot.
I want to shift gears for a second, Sergeant Bukenik, and ask you about some of the physical evidence in the case.
Gee, you wanna
and
pop me off for a
Mr.
second?
Proctor collected the
wanna
gray
pop me off for a second? I'm
sweatshirt
gonna-
and the orange T-shirt that we saw entered into evidence today, correct?
That's correct.
You talked about finding that evidence at Good Samaritan Hospital, is that right?
That is where it was seized from, yes.
You described it as being on the floor, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Where on the floor was it when you first saw it? So on the hospital floor, not the ambulance floor, correct?
When I first saw it, it was on the hospital floor, correct?
All right.
Lawyer Liv, thank you so much. Doing our best here.
Take a look at that photograph, please.
Yes.
Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
It's one of the photographs taken from Mr. O'Keefe's emergency department room.
Do you recognize the shirt or shirts that you earlier described as being in that photograph?
There is an orange shirt depicted on the floor to the left side, yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask that be marked and entered into evidence.
No objection.
Okay.
While that's being marked, may we approach very briefly?
Hey, real quick, in the
Your Honor,
chat,
with permission,
just type in where you're from
May I publish?
and where you're watching this.
Sergeant Bukenik, this is Exhibit 110. You just mentioned seeing an orange shirt. Do you have a laser pointer with you? If you don't, I can grab you one.
I do.
Can you point for the jurors where you were describing the orange? Just pick whichever TV you want to use. May I approach?
Yes. You worked earlier.
This is
It did, yes.
That's a piece. That should work. Just tell me which TV you're going to look at so the jurors understand and can follow.
I'll do the one to my right so the jurors can see. There is something orange right there on the floor.
Does that appear to be on top of something darker?
It does appear to be on top of possibly a darker item of clothing, possibly the jeans. I'm not sure exactly from here
Okay.
what that is.
Do you believe, as you sit here, and I'm asking it open because I don't know what the answer is. Do you believe, as you sit here, that that's the orange shirt and or the gray sweatshirt and or the jeans?
If we can zoom in, I could probably pick out the pattern. So from here, it looks like it's a cut fabric, indicating that it most likely is the orange shirt. The jeans, you can see the belt loop through the jeans on the left side. I would say that that is Mr. O'Keefe's clothing that we picked up and bagged.
Okay, if you could unzoom that for me. One more question. You see Mr. O'Keefe's left leg and right leg from about the little lower than mid-thigh down, correct?
Mid-thigh down, I see his legs, yes.
Okay, you see his right knee?
The interior portion of it, yes.
Okay, do you see any scrapes or marks or cuts or abrasions on that right knee?
Not from this point, no.
Thank you, we can take that down. May I approach?
Yes.
Oh, the laser point?
Yeah.
Which one? I think it's this one. They're both the same.
Vegas, baby.
Detroit, Rock City.
Who's at my house? Somebody at my house?
Yeah. Call the cops.
Call the cops.
Sorry about that.
Sweet home Alabama.
Can we display the photo one more time, Ms. Johnson? We need to turn the lights off.
Hey, keep taking off that Vegas one.
Take a look to the left. Could you zoom in on the chair? Do you see that item sitting on the chair, Sergeant?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
That is either mine or Michael Proctor's notepad binder.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We can take that down.
We have one of those, don't we, G?
Yep.
Concerning the two shirts that you earlier testified to as being sopping wet, did you bag those shirts? Well, did you bag those shirts or did Michael Proctor bag those shirts?
We bagged them together. If my memory is not failing me, I believe he picked it up and I held the bag open. But
Did-
I could be wrong. Maybe I picked it up and he held the bag up.
That's fine. The two of you together got them in a bag.
Yes.
Was it a paper bag or a plastic bag?
It was a large paper bag, the size of like a lawn leaf bag. You
For
would
two
get
things?
for
Three things?
disposing your yard waste.
Okay, is it specifically an evidence bag or was it something that y'all came up with on the spot?
It's a bag that was provided by Crime Scene Services.
Okay, so it's an official law enforcement
Yeah.
type bag, what a grocery bag.
It was not a
full
grocery bag, it was a
gallon.
large bag.
Okay, understood. Did both shirts go in the same bag?
All the clothing items that were in the pile went into the same bag.
Does that include the jeans and belt and boxer shorts?
Yes, yes.
Okay. You went from Good Sam, Good Samaritan, straight to Dighton, correct?
Yes,
And you are the one that put the bag in your, the super cab of your pickup truck?
yes,
And then from Dighton, you went over to Canton PD, is that right?
yes, we did.
And then from Canton PD, ultimately, before the night was out, you ended up back at the Norfolk DA's office, which is where you and Michael Proctor officed at the time, correct?
Yes.
When exactly, if you recall, did you lay out the clothing? You indicated it was sopping wet, you laid it out on a butcher paper. When was that?
It was during the evening hours, once we arrived to the Canton office.
It was about 10 p.m., I'm guessing?
No, it was before that.
It was before 10?
Yes.
You have just a moment.
Yes.
Once at the hospital, tag it, bag it immediately. So it's protected. That's the whole point of doing that, is to get it into that bag quick as possible so it doesn't get cross-contamination with anything else, especially in hospitals. Hospitals are, and I'll tell
Filthy.
you, nurses would tell you, hospitals are
Sergeant,
disgustingly
I just want
filthy.
to get the record as clear as possible. Did you testify at a hearing last year, at a proceeding last year here in this courtroom, that it was about 10 o'clock at night when you finally got the clothing laid out on the butcher paper?
Based on the context on the question, I might have estimated to be
Okay.
around 10. I would have to take a look at the exact language.
15
being
hours
used.
later.
That's fair. I'm not trying to hold you to anything. I just want to make sure we get it as clear as possible. Mayor Approach?
Yes.
That seems like a long time.
Yeah.
Gonzo, what do you think?
Yeah, it does.
Right? I mean, he's the cops at the hospital. You grab his clothes, right? Throw it in the bag. I mean, for us, CSI would already be at the hospital waiting. They'd be ready. They would grab the clothes, boom, 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 throw it in the bag. They'd be waiting.
Yep.
So
exactly.
15 hours seems like a long time.
It does a long time.
What happened? He fall asleep? Oh. He's reading.
Mayor Approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
You may. What we got going on in the chat? Anything good?
Sergeant, does that refresh your recollections to about the time that you ended up at the office to lay out those items on the butcher paper?
That refreshes my memory to my testimony prior.
And that was about your prior testimony, it was about 10 p.m.
When asked about what time the items were laid out, I indicated previously it was 10 o'clock approximately.
Thank
You
you.
didn't stay there all night with those clothes.
No, I did not.
You left the clothes with Michael Proctor, did you not?
I can't testify to leaving them, quote unquote, with Michael Proctor. We laid them out together in the drying area on the butcher paper. And then at some point, I secured from the office. I don't have a memory if he left with me or if he remained to do additional tasks in the office to, you know,
You
whatever he had to
indicated
do.
that those clothes stayed in that room starting on January 29th, 2022. So the
I know
paper
Chad
dried,
Lyman.
correct?
Great
That's
dude.
correct, sir.
Ultimately, they were
Like-
bagged after they were dried, correct?
At some point they were, yes.
Very dangerous.
Who had
man.
access to that room where they were laid out on butcher paper in those intervening, those subsequent days?
Anyone that had access to the office with a proper key card authorization would have access to that
And
area.
of course, that includes you as a supervisor, correct?
It does.
It also includes Michael Proctor.
It does.
And those items were bagged on February 4th, is that right?
I don't have a specific memory, but if you can show me a document suggesting that and supporting that statement, I will definitely look at it.
So why are they bagging it 4 days later?
Well, his excuse is that they had to let it dry.
Oh, that's right. They put it on the parchment paper. Okay.
Yeah. For us, I mean, like I said, we are very spoiled here.
Yeah.
We have a wet room per se that it's like an oven, not an oven, but it just warmer than room temperature. The air's flowing, so it dries out faster, so they can start processing
Yeah.
the evidence faster.
Yeah.
So we don't lose the integrity of the evidence on whatever evidence piece it is, clothes, shirt,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. And that's going to be done when you have a downed officer, it's going to be done as fast as possible,
Yeah.
as fast as the evidence will allow.
Yep. I'll take a minute to thank everybody that's in chat. We appreciate you guys watching this.
Yeah. Thank
with
you.
us.
Thank you.
Struggle, I should say. Struggle watching this with us.
Yeah.
Clothing items were in, at this point, just the jeans.
Earlier
We
today, sir?
appreciate you. Going
I
to be a
do
late
remember
night.
looking at the bag, yes.
Okay, and the bag has a label on it, obviously. That's
I wanna see
generated
those
when,
numbers drop.
items are bagged.
It has multiple labels, yes.
Okay. Did you see the label today that it indicated it was bagged on?
I agree,
February
MS.
I didn't pay attention to it, no.
4th? May I approach you?
Why would you?
Hey, J Bones.
If you could take a look at those 3 pages briefly, that's a colloquy, just to make a refresher recollection.
Yeah. Use your good eye.
I don't know what the colloquy means. Can you?
What?
The back and forth conversation.
I see.
Oh, we got to wait for him to read again.
Yep.
Next time I'll edit this part out. Where's this guy? Is he from Russia? Is he Russian? Yuri Bukenik? Bukenik?
Our chat will tell us where he's from.
Yeah, I think is he like Ukrainian or something or Russian? I mean, I'm Russian. Maybe we're related, you know? Oh, we're Ukrainian. Okay. All right.
Man, chat is on point, man.
They are. They're fast, too. Chat's like Google.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where was Gonzo born at?
Answer.
Figure that out.
Google it. Chat, where was Gonzo born? You guys know. Come on. Where was he raised? First one gets it right. Oklahoma. Oh, somebody got it right. It's T.S. Tasha, T.S.T.S.H.A. She got Idaho. She got it, Gonzo.
What? God dang it.
Somebody said Mexico.
Whoa.
May I approach?
Yes.
Philly. No, I was born in Philly. Gonzo was born in Idaho.
Sir. Did reviewing that document refresh your recollection?
Under a rock.
The date that those items were
That's right.
ultimately bagged and labeled?
Yes, based on the tag on the bag, when I previously looked at it, it appears that the tag was printed
Zealand.
on 2/4/22.
And that would be consistent with the time that the items are actually placed in the bag?
I don't know that to be true.
Because you didn't place them in the bag, Trooper Proctor did, correct? I'm sorry, former Trooper Proctor did.
I don't know who placed them in the bag.
But it wasn't you.
It was not me, no.
But the case officer, Mr. Proctor, had access to that room and was
Yes, he
taking
did.
control over those clothing items for those 6 days that they were drying on the butcher paper, correct?
Yes, he did.
That's not necessarily correct. It could have been the evidence officers bagging the evidence once it's dried and processing
what he's saying.
it. I
not what he's
highly
asking.
doubt Trooper Proctor had access to the beast machine to print that label.
Right. I'm not asking if he printed the label, I'm asking if he bagged the item and walked it up to the evidence locker and the label was printed up there.
Again, I don't know who bagged the items.
That would be normal protocol though, correct?
Somebody else bagging the items?
No, the case officer bagging the items. He's the one that seized it along with you. He laid them out on the butcher paper along with you. He would be the one to gather them up. I mean, the evidence officer's not going to come down there and do that without the case officer knowing, correct?
Not necessarily. The evidence officer's responsibility is to handle the evidence, so I don't know who handled the evidence that day.
How would the evidence officer know to go down there? How would he know that there were clothing items being laid out to dry on butcher paper unless the case officer told him?
They would walk by it every day and see it. That's their workstation. So
Right.
they would know that, hey, this evidence is drying. There's only 4 detectives in the office at that.
They would say, hey, where did shit come from?
Hey, guys, we got shit drying in the evidence room. Don't fuck with it.
And he's got 4 detectives. He just said he's got 4 detectives working,
I know.
right?
I know. But yet he said Proctor didn't do more than 51% of the caseload.
Mm-hmm.
But Proctor did all of the caseload.
Yeah.
So how did he say on stand? How did he dare open his mouth and say those words? He didn't do 51%. Bullshit.
Yeah. Exactly.
The time working on this case, we communicate daily, so they would know that, hey, it's dried, let's bag it up.
Well, that's a lot of speculation, especially for the
Yeah,
supervisor.
daily?
Literally,
You're gonna
he just
patent
said,
it?
I have no idea who bagged it up. They weren't communicating with you, were they?
I was giving you an explanation of what could have happened.
Right. Speculation about what could have
Thanks.
happened, right?
Thanks. A lot of shit.
Well, I
could've
certainly
happened.
did not bag that item.
Right. But your
The
best
aliens could've
estimate
come
would
down and
be,
pissed on it.
knowing the protocols at the MSP and in your unit, would be the case officer who's controlling the items of evidence would have bagged it and submitted into the evidence locker.
I do not know who bagged it.
Of course you don't. It should be on the
Now that's
log.
bullshit.
So for-
Because remember, in the first trial, he actually made him read the name off
Yeah.
the tag,
Yeah.
and it
Whoever
was
signed it.
Proctor.
Yeah. Whoever signed it. Right, G? That's the way it
Yeah,
works.
Yeah, yeah.
If you signed it, you impounded it. Period. There is no
Well-
ifs, ands, or buts.
You collect it, you're married to it.
Yes.
You don't pass it off unless you're like a lieutenant. Say, hey,
Right.
impound that.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
6 days, anybody who had access to that room could have handled that clothing in any way they wanted to.
That's what he's saying.
That's correct.
And that
There you
includes
Yeah.
former Trooper Michael Proctor.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Right. Well, it is what it is. We just say
Yeah.
it. It's okay. You know what I mean? You
Do
don't
you
we're a
have
court.
any
You
kind of
don't have to sugarcoat it.
log to document what was happening or who was handling those items of clothing during that 6-day period before it was bagged into evidence? Any kind of a log?
I don't have a document logging the clothing laying out there. It was documented in reports and processing, I believe. But
Have you ever seen a log? I'm not talking about a report after the fact. I'm talking about a log, real-time log.
Thank you.
Indicating who may have come in and handled or touched or
Water.
manipulated those clothes in that 6-day span of time before the fact.
I have never seen a log like that, no.
The fact is, we don't have a single document establishing the chain of custody for those items between January 29th and February 4th. That's correct, isn't it?
That is absolutely not correct.
Where's the
That's
chain, where's
absolutely-
the log or the document logging what happened to it?
We seized the clothing. It was in our possession. It was transferred for processing.
Sergeant, I'm asking you about a log, a written
Yeah.
piece of paper.
Log,
Something
dude.
that looks like this. It's got
Pay
writing
attention.
on it that logs
Yeah.
the item
Answer the
between
question.
January 29th and February 4th. That doesn't exist, does it?
Exactly. No chain of
We did
custody.
not create a log to document the documentation,
Thank
so it'd be
Yeah.
redundant, really.
Yeah.
Redundant?
You
Redundant.
indicated on direct examination
Doing
that
nothing?
you personally participated in 2 searches at 34 Fairview, one on February 4th, one on February 10th. Is that right?
Welcome in the clouds.
That is not right.
What did I get wrong?
Yeah.
I was also there on the 3rd, 4th, and 10th.
Who did you go with on the 3rd?
That was Trooper DeChico, Michael Proctor, and I conducting the first excavation.
And about what time was that?
It was during the morning hours. I think earlier I said it was somewhere between 8:30 and 9:30. I could have been half an hour later. I'm not exactly positive on the exact time we began the excavation.
And the other 2 searches were the next day, February 4th, and then February 10th.
The next time I was at Fairview Road and involved in a collection of evidence was on the 4th, when Canton PD documented a 1 piece and I collected, and then the 10th.
Okay.
Exactly.
Was anything recovered on February, let's take them in order, on February 3rd?
Yes, Mr. O'Keefe's hat, straw,
They didn't find his hat till the 4th day, 3rd day.
red and clear plastic taillight pieces. There was those are the items that were recovered amongst.
That's on the
some of
3rd.
others.
Okay, what about the 4th?
The 4th was the red taillight piece that we displayed, I believe.
That you
That
missed the
Canton
day
PD
before.
notified me of when I was already en route there.
When you say Canton PD, who was it that notified you, if you remember?
There was, at the scene, there was Chief Burkowitz, a couple of detectives.
Who?
Sergeant Lang?
There's only
does that sound
4.
right?
I do not know. I can't say yes or no. I don't recall specifically. It was raining hard, so I
What the fuck's that got to
grabbed
do with
the
shit?
item and we left.
Okay.
Can't remember shit when it's
Was there-
raining?
Did you write a report? I'm gonna combine these into all 3 dates together. Did you write any report? Actually, I won't do that. Let me ask them individually. Did you write any report about your search on the 3rd?
Somebody authored a report. I'm not
Did
sure.
you? I'm asking about you.
I can't. There's over 100 reports. I'd have to take a look.
so
Which
much.
report documents my activity that day.
Do you remember, as you sit here, authoring a report about your conduct or your activity on February 4th, the next day?
I don't have a memory of it, no.
Do you have a memory of authoring a report yourself about your conduct on February 10th, or your activity on February 10th?
I don't have a memory of it. It could have happened. I just don't have a memory.
The reality, Sergeant, is that no report was written about any of these searches until November 4th, 2023. Correct?
That's a problem.
I'm going to pause it right now, B.
That is a huge, huge problem.
That's a whoops report. And how could you even
Seriously.
know what happened 2 years later?
Yeah. Or a year and a half, or whatever. However long it is later. Who cares?
You know what they did is they had a briefing and said, hey, all the cops that were on that scene, come to the briefing. We're going to write a report on what we all did.
Something happened.
Wow.
Something happened. I mean, I can't even fathom a report that late. That is unbelievable, and that is 100% unacceptable.
Okay, so for us, when we go to a homicide as patrol, Okay. We do an ICR, right?
Incident crime report.
Incident crime report, and we do a log of who was there coming and going, who the witnesses were, who the victim was, right?
Yep.
FD, EMTs, anybody that was on that scene, they're documented,
Everybody.
right?
Yep.
And that incident crime report has to be done by the end of shift.
Yep. And we get
Right.
their phone number, their cell number.
Yep.
Because in case if they leave, we can call them. I
Yep.
learned that early in my career.
Now, homicide, they have an ongoing report, but
Mhm.
they still have daily reports that need to be done.
Correct.
Who they
Yeah.
talk to, where they talk to them.
Yeah.
Did they collect evidence? Right.
Yeah.
And that's compiled.
Yeah,
Right.
there's no secrets. There is no secrets.
And those reports, before they get signed off, have to be reviewed by a supervisor.
Correct.
Right?
Enter Bukaki.
Bukenik.
Bukenik. Bukenik. He's about as useful as Gallagher.
That could be,
Yeah.
could be possible, yes.
So literally the documentation of these three searches about which you've testified today, the documentation did not exist until, what is that math, 17, 18 months later?
Thank you.
That is
Jackson.
not true. Each bag that the evidence went into was documented, the time, location, who recovered it, where it was recovered, and brief description of the items that were recovered from the scene.
And
Show us.
by the way, we're going to get to that in a second, the
Yeah,
evidence
show us.
bags.
Should be easy.
A report is designed to memorialize exactly what happens, when it happens, why it happened, who was there, what time it happened, things of that nature, correct?
That is one of the purposes, or some of the purposes behind the report, absolutely, yes.
And the report in this case that documented these three searches involving you, Trooper Proctor, I think Trooper DeChico, even Canton PD officers, there was no memorialization in a report until nearly 18 months later. Is that right?
It's possible, yeah, we write reports at
Good look.
different times, yeah.
It's different times, you know. Yeah, you
I
know.
want to ask you about this February 4th visit to the crime scene. You indicated that sometime in the morning, 8:45, 9 a.m., something like that, you responded
On the 4th, sir?
on the 4th.
I was driving to work, so I would have to say 8:45 or so, yeah, I mean, I don't have the exact timestamp, but if you know, if
Before,
you have something to refresh my memory, I could tell you
Gives a
that's
shit.
accurate.
Just
I'm not going to hold you to the exact time. It was in the
Yeah.
morning on the 4th.
It was.
All right. Did you know Chief of Police Ken Burkowitz before you responded on the 4th to 34 Fairview?
Yes, I knew who he was. I had met him previously, and he was present on the 29th when the vehicle was delivered to the Sally Port.
He was actually in the Sally Port, at least at some time, when the vehicle was delivered, correct?
He was there at some point. I had a conversation with him.
Okay.
about what?
Tall guy, short guy?
Sustained.
Chief Burkowitz was a shorter guy.
Okay. Do you know who Bryon Higgins is?
I do.
What's your relationship with Bryon Higgins? Or what was it? I should be more pointed to this, Sergeant. What was your relationship back in 2022, January of 2022?
Bryon Higgins was a federal agent, and I crossed paths with him on a couple of investigations, strictly professional
Yeah, right.
relationship, a federal agent and a state trooper.
So not a personal relationship, more of a professional relationship.
Correct.
Did you know him to have a personal relationship with Chief Burkowitz?
I did not know.
Didn't Bryon Higgins actually tell you and Michael Proctor in an interview that he had a personal relationship with Chief Burkowitz? He called him one of his better friends.
Oopsie.
Sure.
Of course.
During the course of your investigation, did you learn, although you may not have personal knowledge of it, did you learn that Bryon Higgins and Chief Burkowitz had some sort of a personal relationship?
If you show me a report stating that,
Just
I
say
would
yes.
like to take a look. If it's written in a report authored by me, or that I authorize, approve,
you know.
I'll take it for,
See?
to be fact.
As you
Can't
sit
even
here
ask the
now,
question-
you don't have
answer
a
a
memory
question.
of that conversation with Bryon Higgins?
He does.
Do I have a memory of having a conversation with him
No,
and him
He does.
sharing that information with me?
That's it.
I don't have a memory of him sharing that information, but if you have a report that was authored by me or Michael Proctor or any trooper in our office that says that, I will take it as gospel and testify.
Are we going to have that? No. And he
Well,
knows
I don't
that.
want to take up the time to look for it.
That's why he
We'll
said
put
that.
our hands on that, but in the meantime, let me ask you a few other questions.
That was that to Jackson.
You were
much.
contacted and told to respond to 34
Victor,
Fairview because
thank you, buddy.
Chief Burkowitz had been driving by
Thank
and
you.
saw something while he was driving by, correct?
Yeah, I love this.
On which day, sir?
February 4th.
I'm sorry?
February 4th.
Pay attention.
Yes, he indicated that he was driving by and saw a piece of potential evidence.
And he was driving by in a car at speed, correct?
I would take that to be factual. I mean, if he's
Okay.
driving by, I would take it to be in the car
And
at speed.
did you question Chief Burkowitz about, by the way, about how old was Chief Burkowitz when you met him out at
Going up to
34
the eyes.
Fairview in 2022?
How old?
How old? Estimate. Was he in his 50s, 60s, 70s?
I can't
I
see
have
shit.
no
I'm
idea.
54.
Chief
I wouldn't see that shit on the yard. Barely see you.
He indicated to you that he was driving by and saw a small piece of red taillight from his car. Is that right? He indicated to you that he was driving by and saw a red something from his car, correct? Did you question Chief Burkowitz after you learned this information about him driving by? Did you question Chief Burkowitz about how he could possibly see a piece of red plastic from his car?
No.
Did you question Chief Burkowitz about why he was driving by 34 Fairview in the first place?
No.
Did you question Chief Burkowitz about the fact that his department had been conflicted from the case, at least in part, because of a, as you put it, a perceived or possible perception of a conflict of interest?
Yep.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question, please?
Did you question Chief Burkowitz about whether or not he was aware that there was a conflict of interest between Canton PD and this investigation?
No, I didn't question, no.
And he's
Let me
finding
pause for a
evidence,
second.
dude.
I'm going to pause it for a second.
He's finding evidence that's crucial to this case. And he shouldn't even be in there. You're looking.
That's what I was going to say. When has ever a chief drove by a crime scene?
I can't say whether a chief or not has ever driven by a crime scene. But I can tell you this, in my entire career, I've never seen anybody, even maybe a sergeant, find something at a crime scene. Above a sergeant, for us would be lieutenant, captain, deputy chief, all that. No, never. Because it doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen.
It doesn't.
I mean, you might have a chief at the crime scene when it happened,
correct. And
but
you
not
know
days
what?
later.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah. It's just, I'll give him, maybe he drove by Fairview. Okay. But the odds of someone turning their head, looking, the light and the sun refracting at the perfect percentage rate and angle to hit that light or hit that piece of plastic to refrain the light into his eye, I'm calling bullshit.
Wow. For a second there, I was listening to Trooper Paul with that explanation.
Well, it's just so he catches a glimpse of a red piece. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
It
Not gonna
just seems
happen.
to be a stretch.
Did you think that was important at the time to talk to him about that conflict of interest?
No.
Because just days earlier, the Canton Police Department had in fact recused himself. from interviews
Yeah,
because of a potential conflict of interest, right?
yeah.
To prevent any perceived conflict of interest, they recused themselves from being involved in interviews. I wasn't pairing up with Chief Burkowitz to interview the taillight piece. I mean, I don't.
No, I didn't figure that you were going to interview the tail piece.
He might.
I'm trying to get to a point. 3 or 4 days after, 5 days after, 6 days after, Kent PD recuses itself from these parts of the investigation because of a perceived conflict of interest. The brother of the homeowner, being a detective, the chief of that department drives by in a car and
Maybe.
sees a piece of glass.
Yeah. I'm going to step away for a second.
I'm sorry?
I object.
Assistant.
He's smart. He leaves it on play, so I can't pause it.
Was your understanding, at least at the time, that the whole purpose of the recusal was so there would not be a perception of a conflict of interest?
Yeah,
To avoid
that's the whole
that?
point.
I didn't give it much thought of the understanding why there was a recusal. I was told that they're not going to conduct interviews with us, and me being on the mission of conducting this investigation, assisting with this investigation, collecting evidence, I just knew that I needed more manpower. And the Canton police, being, having recused themselves, weren't going to be available to provide that manpower to conduct interviews.
And yet, it was the chief of that very department that was standing out in front of 34 Fairview when you pulled up that morning.
With his detectives, they were at the
light
location.
button.
They weren't standing outside. They were in their vehicles because it was raining really heavily.
Well,
Can we end at this?
we can, Your Honor,
All right.
sure.
All right, so Sergeant, we'll be bringing you back tomorrow.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Folks, that's it for today.
Day one.
Cautions, please do not
That's a
discuss
wrap.
this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into the case.
Yes, Beth, I will not look into this, I promise.
Hear or read
Gout's
anything
honor.
about the case.
3, 2,
Please
3,
disregard
3.
it. Let us know. Be very careful with your social media use. And again, Sergeant.
All rise for the court, please. Hearings, close your notebook, follow me.
Can I see counsel about scheduling, please?
You may. Let's schedule it now. There you go.
May I
Day
inquire,
two.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Good morning, Sergeant.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yesterday, when we left off, we had been discussing one of the trips you made out to 34 Fairview, specifically on an occasion in which you met Chief Burkowitz. I want to ask you a couple of questions to follow up on those questions that I asked yesterday. Did Chief Burkowitz ever talk to you about his communications with Bryon Albert and or Brian Higgins, either at that time or afterward?
Objection.
Assistant.
We knew
Did
that
you
was coming.
learn that Chief Burkowitz had communicated one way or the other, without telling me anything that they said? Did you learn whether or not Chief Burkowitz had communicated with Brian Higgins?
No.
Did you learn that Chief Burkowitz had communicated with Bryon Albert? And I'm talking about in the days before you were at 34 Fairview, which was February 4th, from the 29th to February 4th.
No.
You returned to the scene, you indicated on direct examination, on or about February 10th, 2022, to conduct yet another search, correct?
Yes.
And on that particular occasion, you recovered some 6 pieces of red and or clear and or black plastic. Is that how you testified?
There was numerous pieces. The exact number, I don't know. You'd have to refresh my memory with a report.
Okay.
Should probably
There were
remember
several
this.
pieces. The exact number, I'm not really worried about. There were several. There's more than one.
Yes.
Okay. There were also some clear glass pieces, correct?
Again, I don't know exactly, but if a report can be
Was there
presented,
broken
it'll refresh
glass?
my memory.
Okay. Let's do that real quick.
Come on, man. Was there glass or not? I'm not trying to trick you. I like this blue suit better. Not that that matters, but it's also raining. Oh, I always forget to chat because I'm so focused on this.
All right, I'm back.
That's why we need Steve. And he's in Mexico.
Actually, let me give you front page of that, but that's what just familiarize yourself with it.
Thank you.
Let me know when you familiarize yourself with that report.
Is this day 2?
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You missed the changeover.
Okay.
Beginning of day 2, he's going back to the when he went to Fairview
Sir, did
with
you have an opportunity to take a look at this report?
I did.
Did that refresh your recollection as to the items generally that you recovered on February 10th?
Yes, I did.
Did you recover approximately 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic and 14 pieces of glass and plastic fragments?
Yes, I did.
Okay. You would obviously consider that to be an incredibly important part of the investigation, recovering physical items at the
absolutely,
scene of the incident,
Yeah.
correct?
absolutely, it's huge.
Every piece of evidence is important.
Can you describe for the jurors
What's up, Steve?
exactly where each of the, let's take them one at a time, where each of the 6 pieces of plastic fragments were found?
Yeah,
All items recovered that day were found in the general vicinity where the other items were also located. The area had been excavated. I've been to that location several times, and it was all located in the general vicinity where it was initially excavated, but also where I was told Mr. John O'Keefe was found on the morning of January 29th, 2022.
So, other than saying in the general vicinity,
Where was it?
did you seek to actually document where each item was found? In other words, by cross coordinates
Yeah.
or some other such manner?
The exact location where each item was recovered from was not documented with a picture or GPS location. It was still within the general vicinity of that 40 to 50 square feet or so, by my
Pause it.
approximation, near the flagpole between the street, the flag.
Pause it. The exact location in the general vicinity.
It's a word salad.
Did you catch that, America? Did you catch that? It's the exact location in the general vicinity. Okay, I just wanted to say that.
So it wasn't documented with pictures. I thought they took pictures.
Gonzo, they didn't do anything, bro. They did nothing.
The only thing they did document is when they were blowing it with the leaf blower. They videotaped it.
You know, they made sure to get that on videotape because Gallagher had to have his friggin' 5 minutes of fame acting like he was fucking scaling Everest or some shit. You know what I mean? Or discovering fucking Tutankhamun. But I
That
don't
just
know.
blows my mind that they didn't take pictures or,
I know.
you know,
I know.
put a ruler
I know.
to give you the dimensions of it.
Yeah, I mean, come on. You can't measure out from the flagpole to the curb like exactly, and then you face exactly due east or north or south or however you want to figure it out, right? Facing the house, boom, 3 steps, 3 feet, 2 feet right or 2 feet left. There's this piece. Like it's very simple, and they're making it very difficult. And we know why they're making it very difficult because they're doing it. They're choosing to make this very difficult, America and world.
Well, they're making it easy for the jury to say not guilty.
From your lips
You know?
to God's ears.
Let's go.
Pole and the fire hydrant. It was all the same general vicinity.
So 40 to 50 square feet would be
Of the exact location.
a 10 foot by 5-foot square, correct?
Generally speaking, 50, yeah, 5 by 10, general area.
If I may, Your Honor, if I may approach this a little bit, would you agree with me, I'm not going to pull out a measuring tape, would you agree I'm about 10 feet from you right now?
I would agree with you, yes.
Okay. And from the jury bar, probably about 5 feet from there?
Yes.
So we're talking about a relatively broad area for small pieces of physical evidence to be found. You would agree with that?
Yeah. Couldn't see that on
would,
first day?
Again, estimate it was the general area,
Maybe bigger now.
maybe 10 feet in one direction, 10 feet in another, and
He just made it- he just doubled
5
it.
feet out, maybe 3 feet out. They were the general area where it was initially excavated and then
You don't know.
expanded with the snow melting, and all the pieces were within that general area.
But you were working
math
on
isn't
an
math.
assumption, at that point, on an assumption that there was some sort of an impact at 34 Fairview, correct?
Yeah.
I don't understand what you're asking.
You were
He was hit.
working on an assumption,
Impact.
presumption, that there was an impact
Yeah.
on a physical item,
Yeah.
in your view, an SUV, with a human being, correct?
Ben, you're absolutely
Welcome
right,
to the
buddy.
Twilight Zone.
The evidence was pointing that impact took place because there was damage to the taillight.
From the car.
Large chunks of it was missing, and we were locating pieces that were consistent with texture, color, and size, fragments from that SUV on the lawn. So I wasn't assuming anything. The evidence was
10 days
speaking to
later.
us.
You weren't there.
6 pieces, 10 days.
I was
Couldn't
there
see that.
recovering the evidence, yes.
You weren't there at the time of the incident.
No, of course not.
So you were utilizing assumptions and presumptions based on information that was provided to you. Yes or no?
Yeah.
We work by learning information, collecting
Yes or
evidence,
no?
and getting that evidence to suggest what happened. That evidence is tested, and then
Is
it's
it?
all put together into the case.
And it led you where?
To suggest what happened, correct?
Here?
Yes.
Another word for a suggestion is if something is suggested to you, you then receive it and assume certain things based on that suggestion.
What we do with suggestions, we corroborate them. A witness statement is, I guess you can say, a suggestion, and then we corroborate it through evidence.
And of course, you make assumptions based on those suggestions, correct? Yes or no?
We have theories.
Another term for a theory is an assumption or presumption, correct?
I guess in some respect you can say that,
Okay.
but
So the
I'm
answer
not
is yes.
Victor, you're correct.
I'm
He did
not
say
going to
that.
argue about semantics here.
Well, you'll agree that words matter, right? I mean, you're testifying.
Words
So
matter.
Words do matter.
Words do matter. That's important.
Well, you're saying the wrong words.
Working off of your, as you put it, your theory, you theorized that there was an impact spot at 34 Fairview, correct?
Based on the statement, I hit him. I assumed that Mr. O'Keefe
Who
was
said that?
impacted with
Yeah.
something.
Nobody said
Initial,
that.
hours of the investigation, we had those statements, I hit him. We had the statements that, oh my God, did I hit him? So utilizing that information with the evidence
Did.
at that point that we had was a broken cocktail glass. So a theory would be, why is the cocktail glass broken? Because it came into contact with the victim. So that's why my information communicated to the ME's office was a possible domestic involving a glass strike to the victim. As a result, we had to go and see the victim's body and the injuries. So Mr. O'Keefe's injuries presented a certain way, and we learned more information. So the more information that comes in, the more information that we are able to corroborate statements and collect evidence that further corroborates other information. is helpful in the investigation. That's how investigations develop.
Thanks,
if
Steve.
we knew everything we knew from day one, there wouldn't be a process
that.
of developing investigation.
Fucking tell us how they fucking run investigation. Bullshit. Bullshit.
Correct? Yes or no?
We were working off a report of an injured male party, and then we developed the information, collected the evidence, and developed the investigation.
Do you know what the word theory means?
I'm sorry, English is like a third language for me, so if you can bring up the Webster's Dictionary, I can read it out.
You want me to pull up the Webster's Dictionary? You want to take a break real quick and pull up the Webster's Dictionary to define a word that you used in an answer about 40 seconds ago? We're working off of a theory, quote unquote. You said it, not me.
Yeah.
You want me to go get a dictionary so we can figure out for the jurors?
The word that you used.
All right, sustained. Let's move along, please.
Bro,
What a wise ass, man. What a wise ass.
dude, he's playing it out for the jury to see, dude.
Yeah, well, I hope the jury sees through this stuff. I really do.
I'm embarrassed for him, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not a good look for him, but whatever. He's the one who's got to lay his head down at night on his pillow.
Yep.
That's a question. I'm waiting.
All right, I didn't realize.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
Was there a question? Go ahead, please.
Sure. Is there a report that documents exactly where at 34 Fairview on the property these 20-odd items were found exactly?
Yeah.
No.
The report documenting where they were recovered from is number 83 that you've just presented. Exact location is the same general vicinity. If it was something different, if we located these items across the street, different section of the yard, that would have been documented.
Repeat.
What's documented in the report that you just referenced says bullet point 2/10/22, meaning February 10/22 at 9:15 a.m. Sergeant Bukenik secured 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic. Period. That's what it says, right?
Same general vicinity. If there was a different
That's what the
location,
report says, isn't it? That's all I'm asking. That's what the report says.
If the report says it, it's locked.
that's the description of the items
So the
recovered.
answer is yes. That's what the report says.
That is part of the report. That is the description of the items recovered on that date.
And
Okay.
the bullet point beneath that says February 10th, 2022 at 9:15 a.m. Sergeant Bukenik secured 14 pieces of glass and plastic fragments. Right?
That's correct.
There is no further description of where those items were found, is there?
There is.
What's the further? Where's
In
the
my
report
mind.
with the further description of exactly where they were found?
It might not be in the report. It might be on the description of the bag, describing that it was 34 Fairview Road. The
Sure.
report indicates and encompasses itself where those items were recovered from. Clearly, the same
Oh.
general vicinity the
Clearly.
initial items were recovered from.
Self-encompassing
If there was a need
reports.
to document a different location, it would have happened.
But you didn't see the need to document the exact coordinates
No.
where those
Nah.
items were found, did you?
We don't need to know where it was.
You didn't see the
It-
need.
It did not happen.
And not a big deal.
May I approach you on that?
Right, Gonzo? Not a problem.
No, not a problem.
You know, I wanted
It's
to ask
just
you,
on the 34 Fairview.
Gonzo,
Photograph.
have we ever, in my entire career, in your entire, have we ever seen anybody find evidence at a later date? And I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but what I'm sitting here thinking, I cannot think of anybody on any big cases I was on that found something like 10 days later or something. Have you?
I'm trying to think.
Yeah, do you remember any?
I don't remember any.
I should
Now,
probably ask Ronnie. You
yeah,
know?
we should probably ask Ronnie. But the
Ronnie,
thing
one
is,
of our old
sometimes
trainees, he's in
we
homicide.
collect too much information or too much evidence, right?
Yeah, yeah,
The evidence, CSI, then they determine whether it's useful or not,
Right.
alongside with the homicide detective.
right.
So
Okay.
before anything gets tossed, it gets the blessing from homicide to say, yeah, we don't need that.
Yeah.
But I don't ever recall finding evidence
Ever.
ever.
Yeah. Days later or weeks later. No, it doesn't. It just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not in Vegas, hasn't happened here. At least not for us.
Yeah.
Hope you recognize it. What's depicted in it?
No, he's reading
Yes, I
again.
do.
What's
Oh,
depicted in that
picture.
photograph, just general?
Even easier.
It's the side of evidence bag that the items were secured in. It documents the case number, the date, time, who recovered it, and general description of the 6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic recovered from 34 Fairview Road in Canton.
I'd like to have that marked and moved into evidence, John.
Okay. Is there any objection?
No, no objection.
Welcome, Misty.
Exhibit 111.
We're catching a lot. Yep. What's up? Oh. Whew. All right. Anything good in the chat going on? You watching the chat, G?
May I approach, John?
Yes.
What do you want me to do? Run the show and the chat? What are you going to do?
I just said, are you watching it? That's all. Don't get all offended and peeved.
You indicated
I'm
that
trying to.
The evidence bag would help determine where the exact location was that these items were found, correct?
The general location where they were recovered
That's-
from.
Question for you.
Can we publish this, John?
Okay.
I'm going to make some. I like the star, but I would love an LVCopsTV stress ball. And I don't crack my knuckles.
Does this look like the photograph that you were just reviewing?
Yes,
Somebody
it does.
commented.
That's just been marked as evidence?
Yes, sir.
And
My knuckle
can-
cracking rings.
Mr. Will, can we make that a little larger so it's more legible?
No, I don't crack.
Can you read that from where you are?
I can.
Moving past the dates, moving on to the date, what date is that?
Zoom out. Yeah, 6 pieces.
Date collected is 2/10/22.
So that's the date that we've been talking about, correct?
That is correct.
You remember,
How hard
he
is it to remember
said
6
that
pieces?
he said the description and location of the pieces were detailed in the evidence bag, in the label.
All right, let's take a
That's
look.
what he said.
Let's take a look, shall we? Let me see here. What does it say? Red, black, and clear plastic. All right, that sums it up. We got.
Look,
Are we
it's right
good?
there. It says,
Are we
it
good?
says location where collected, 34 Fairview. He's
Dude,
right.
that is probably the
absolutely
most
right.
detailed report I've ever seen on evidence.
Hey, that's integrity. He
Good job,
said
sir. Good job,
integrity.
sir.
34 Fairview. So he's right.
Okay.
Jackson's calling him a liar. Shame
Yeah.
on Jackson.
Oh,
Indicates collected by.
he's ready for Eagle Scout.
That's myself, Sergeant Bukenik.
Description of evidence. This is where the description of the evidence is located on this evidence bag, correct?
Details.
General description identifying what's inside.
And
Oh,
what,
now it's general.
What does that description
6 pieces of red, black, and clear plastic.
And that's all it says about the description, correct?
Yes.
And it indicates location where collected. And there's several lines that are available to fill in, correct?
Yep.
Correct.
I'm looking at them. I'm
On
seeing
that
them.
first line, what does that read?
Y'all see it?
34 Fairview Road, Canton, MA.
Highly
That's it,
detailed.
correct?
That's all that was put, yes.
So detailed.
And
I can picture it.
you didn't fill this bag out, did you?
No, I did not.
Who
Whoa.
did?
Forgery.
I do not know.
Oh,
Did.
he doesn't even know.
I don't know.
You don't recognize the handwriting?
No, I do not.
You don't recognize the handwriting of your partner and subordinate, Michael Proctor?
Objection.
Are you aware that Michael Proctor filled this out?
Objection.
Were you with Michael Proctor when this was bagged?
No, I was not. I was by myself.
Did you give the items of evidence to Michael Proctor?
Yeah.
To bag?
No, I did not.
Who did you give it to bag?
Yeah.
I bagged it myself.
Whose handwriting is that?
Yeah.
I do not know.
If you bagged it yourself, then why didn't you fill out the evidence envelope?
What the fuck's the problem then, dude?
Hold on.
What's the problem?
So that evidence is not admissible then, in my book.
Yeah. Yeah. How's it admissible? Like anybody could have touched, anybody could have done anything. But again, they're saying, well, it was Trooper Proctor.
Right.
So of course he's not going to do anything to it. But that's not the point. Man.
When he said he didn't do nothing, he didn't do nothing.
That's why he's like Gallagher. Bro, everybody in Canton, they're just like, what did you do? Well, did you do this? No. This, no. This, no. This, no. This, no. This, no. What the fuck do you do all day?
Donna, I don't know if I can handle this.
Oh. I know. We're almost done. We got like maybe a half hour, 28 minutes.
No.
21 minutes.
No. You're doing Bukhenik math. Dude, we still got probably an hour and a half according to your time.
What? That's impossible. All right, stop talking. Let's
I
get
bagged it and turned it over, and I told them exactly where it was and what time. So someone else wrote the information.
You just said, I bagged it and told him.
Turned it over.
No, sir. What you just said was, I bagged it and turned it over to him. And you don't know who it is that you turned it over to? Who's the him?
Turned it over to them.
Who's
Them.
Okay.
Whoever wrote it. Whoever wrote it.
So we're just in a circle here. We can turn the lights
Objection
up.
to the commentary.
So,
This
Mrs.
is not
Jackson,
good
no
for him.
comments, okay? Just
Understood.
questions.
I apologize.
Okay. But he's frustrated. And I get it. I need a new LV Cops mug. I gotta get one. I broke mine last live. The donut mugs made it though, Gonzo.
Good.
You had
No
items of
donuts were
evidence
injured.
that you've already described as being incredibly important, correct?
Those are your words. I actually changed. I said every piece of evidence is important.
Okay. Since this is part of every piece of evidence, you think this
Okay.
evidence was important?
Yep.
Every piece of evidence is important.
So
Yep.
was this evidence important? Yes
Yep.
or no?
Yes.
So you had the evidence and turned it over to someone whom you don't know and can't identify. Is that what we understand?
Perfect.
It was a member of the Massachusetts State Police assigned to our office. It wasn't just a random person. I can't specifically
Come on,
identify
dude.
who it was or who wrote
The murder
on that
case
bag.
of a cop.
I know it was a trusted member of our unit and part of the investigative team.
How do you know it was a trusted member of your unit and a
Yeah.
part of the investigative team? if
There's
you
only
can't
5 of
tell
you.
These jurors who it was.
Can't remember who it
How do you
was?
know that?
Because I wouldn't have turned it over to a random stranger.
Okay, so
Should be in there
let's
anyway.
figure out the possibilities.
It's a police
Who are
station.
among those to whom you would have turned this stuff over? Who are among them?
Yeah, who's trusted?
There
Should've
was
said that.
4 troopers in the detective unit at that point.
Okay.
And who do you? My next question would be
Or-
like, all right, who do you trust? Because he said trusted, and then I would say, who don't you trust? And then he would be like, whoa, backpedal.
No, that'd be an objection.
It'd be
No.
objection sustained, of course. But I would still
But the
ask
thing
you.
is,
Still
there's
ask.
only 4.
Yeah, 4 or
Right.
5. Yeah, 4 or 5 guys or detectives. Yeah.
So let's bring them on the stand. Did you do it? Nope. Did you do it? Nope. Did you? Nope. You? Nope. Then who? Right?
Looks like we got a problem.
Yep.
Assigned to homicide.
Let's name them.
Let's name them.
It was Trooper DeChico, Trooper Kakowski, Trooper Dunn, and Trooper Mike Proctor.
As you sit here today,
Which one?
do you believe or do you recall turning it over to Trooper Dunn?
Objection.
We're gonna go through each person?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Find out who the fuck touched it.
Do you remember turning it over to Trooper Dunn?
No,
Do you remember turning it over to Trooper Pikowski?
no,
Do you remember turning it over to Trooper DeChico?
no,
You remember turning it over to Michael Proctor?
No.
So it might have been just a random stranger,
Wow.
right?
That's great.
That's a
great.
ridiculous
Oh, is it?
suggestion.
How's it ridiculous, dude? You just said it.
Hold on. I would say, ridiculous question, Mr. Bukenik. You don't even know who you gave it to. And you are a supervisor handling a murder case.
Handling a homicide of a murdered police officer.
Wow,
That-
dude. I'm done. I'm going to bed.
You're not going anywhere.
This is
Where are you?
ridiculous.
There you are.
Proctor's handwriting.
That's right. Nobody leaves.
Yes.
Everybody stays.
Matter of fact, you've seen it, I'm guessing.
suffer
not
together.
Dozens, maybe hundreds of times, correct?
Not hundreds of times, no.
Dozens of times
Sure,
over the years.
sure.
On evidence bags, on logs, on notes, things of that nature.
Some evidence bags, some notes.
Who gives a shit, right? He's like, whatever.
Download the Kayak app to search and compare prices on flights, cars, and hotels from hundreds of travel sites. Then do what people
Gee, what did you do?
Nice try,
Gonzo
pal.
must have
Nice
missed
try,
that one.
pal. Yeah. That's you, buddy.
Must have been the gremlins let it in or something. I don't know.
He's going to do a,
Yes.
what is that, signature comparison? Look at Karen, she's
Can you
just
take a look at that
smoldering.
document and tell me if
I
you
know,
recognize
dude.
it?
It's got to be hard just sitting there listening to this.
The whole thing or just the front page?
No, just,
You know,
just flip through and tell
over
me if
and
you
over.
recognize generally what that is.
What are you doing, Gambino? What's he doing? Is he reading something?
Yeah.
He's a slow reader, man.
3 languages. English is not his first language.
I don't give a shit.
It appears to be a bunch of handwritten notes from possibly witness interviews.
Handwritten notes by whom?
Well, you labeled it Proctor. I don't know who it is based on the individuals interviewed. Might suggest that these are Michael Proctor's notes.
Ding,
Okay,
ding, ding, ding.
so you're testifying that I labeled that Proctor?
I don't know.
Right, so you don't know.
Well,
So
you provided a document to me, so.
Right, I know. And then you just testified that I labeled that Proctor. How do you know I labeled that Proctor?
Well, I got it from you.
You didn't see me write that note.
Yeah,
It's a stand.
you have no idea.
Questions, please.
Sure.
It's just proving a point.
Yep.
Well
That
played,
is
Jackson.
A series of my Proctor.
Well played.
That's what's suggested, yes.
Okay, can you turn to the first tab? This is the purple tab.
Some of these came off.
It's fine, it's fine. I'm just interested in the purple tab. Do you see a series? of
Damaging court property.
Appear to be from Michael Proctor? Not worried about the content.
Sure. If these,
See a highlight?
yes.
What's the word that's handwritten in that highlight?
Objection.
So why don't we come to sidebar with this document, please?
May I have just a moment, Your Honor?
Yes.
You just came back.
In the ordinary course of business, is it normal standard operating procedure that the person who recovers items of evidence fills out the evidence bag contemporaneous to the recovery of the item?
It's possible you can do that if there's a reason that you have to leave, an emergency or weather conditions you can't write on the bag. You can fill it out later if you have the time and you know where you recovered it from, which is like, in this instance, if it was a general vicinity where all the other fragments of evidence was collected from. It's known that it was within the general area of that section of the lawn near the flagpole between the street and the flagpole and the fire hydrant.
Well, except
So
the
it's,
person that filled out that evidence envelope wasn't with you.
Not on a homicide.
well, I passed that information along to them.
I see. So now it's hearsay information that's being passed along to someone else to fill out the envelope. Objection.
Sustained.
It's secondhand, let's use that word, secondhand
Yeah.
information to the person that's filling out the evidence envelope, correct?
No, it's firsthand information. I passed that along to them.
So it went from you to a person filling out the envelope who wasn't there. Let's at least agree on that.
I was by myself, so yes, I told the individual what time, what location, the case number, the date, obviously.
How do you know? How do you know that you told the individual to whom you passed this along the time, the location, the date? How do you know that as you sit here?
Because that information was then put on the bag and documented.
But you can't even remember who you talked to.
Yeah.
I do not remember specifically who I talked to, no.
If you can't remember who you talked to,
What do
you
you
don't
know
remember
said?
what you said. Goes hand in hand, doesn't it?
That's not true. I might not remember now, but the day that it was bagged on February 10th, 2022, I remembered. And that's why the accurate, detailed information is on the bag.
He sounds like Jen McCabe right there. As I talked more, I remembered. Then I said, oh my God, I remember this.
That's why the accurate information is on that label tag. It's not accurate whatsoever.
Well, it is. It's just very simple, plain, and messed up. But, you know, I mean, it's not messed up. It is what it is. He labeled it
Mistakes were
just
made.
plastic. Yeah.
Mistakes were made. Mistakes were made.
Hey, forget about it. What do you want from me? I speak
Back
3
you
languages,
fill out.
okay?
Correct?
That's correct.
And information provided to someone you can't remember.
Today, I can't remember, no.
Maybe tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Because
Tomorrow.
memory gets better with time, yeah? It's amazing what
You're
they can't
aware
remember.
that that particular bag, that evidence bag, was not booked until March 14th, 2022, correct?
I don't understand what you're saying.
Those pieces of evidence were never
Read that
booked
comment.
into evidence until March 14th, 2022.
Maybe.
Those particular pieces of evidence were collected on February 10th, 2022.
Sergeant Bukenik, do you know the difference between collecting a piece of evidence and booking it into evidence, creating a booking label, creating
Big
an
difference.
evidence log, things of that nature? Do you know the difference?
I understand the difference, yes,
Okay.
but you claiming
done it.
that it wasn't booked into something doesn't mean that it wasn't properly handled in custody and under our control.
Sir, I'm not claiming anything.
Yeah.
You're testifying.
Yeah.
I'm asking questions. Was it booked into evidence on February 10th?
If you show me a document, I can tell you what
Sure.
There is
they might
none.
be suggesting.
By the way, the evidence, can I have the actual piece of evidence?
I'm sorry, which one?
The photo?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
See how he's making him, Jackson, show him everything? He's just being a ball breaker, man. He's just being a ball breaker. And cops, they shouldn't be doing this on the stand, man. You get up there, tell the truth, it's easy.
See that comment, maybe? Thank you.
No. Or what? On you guys, a few days ago, and a fantastic love, a sense of humor, and respect. Thank you, Danny Rowe. Not everybody likes our sense of humor, right, G?
Exactly.
But it's cool. What are we, Gen Xers? Are we Gen X?
Are we?
We're Gen. Are we Gen X? Yeah.
I played outside, so maybe.
Well, the chat will know. They're like Google, like I said. I know I'm a Gen X, 1971.
I identify as Gen X.
Gonzo, let me tell you something. You are Gen X. Trust me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we move on and come back to this, Mr. Jackson?
Oh, up to 1976. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dina Hickman. Thank you.
Gotten the documents that.
Okay.
The
Shannon, 1971.
The two documents here.
So,
Did you show Mr. Brennan?
I'm sorry.
The gatekeeper, Bev.
but Shannon, is your birthday 4/20? Because mine is.
You can take a look at those two documents and tell me whether or not you recognize them.
Hold up, 1968. I was born in 67. Maybe I'm not Gen X.
You're Gen X. It's just a number, right? According to Bukenik, words don't matter. So.
You're right.
Or who was it, Gallagher, who said, no, you're reading it wrong. It doesn't say this. It says this. Oh, I'm sorry. We're reading your words wrong. My mistake. He's still reading?
Yeah.
Trust me, it's a long day for us too, people. Gonzo and I both worked 10 hours today, and now we're here, and we're going to be here for, I'm here at the studio, probably till midnight or later.
And then again on
I gotta-
Wednesday.
And I got to work tomorrow. But Karen's worth it. You guys are worth it. And this
Next
guy,
time,
he's not
when
worth
you
it.
do these, when you do these videos, just cut this out when they're reading that crap.
Yeah,
Okay. I'm gonna leave those up there with you.
I apologize.
Does one of those appear to be
My fault.
the log sheet for the crime lab?
One is a chain of custody report for the crime lab of all the
Okay.
evidence that was processed,
Logged.
received, processed,
Right.
and returned.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And the other document?
The other document is simply a receipt of evidence being submitted on a certain day to the lab.
And both of those documents indicate that the first time the evidence was submitted to the crime lab was March 14th, 2022, correct?
Objection.
Not good.
I'm going.
Not a good
over
look.
that.
Ooh.
I will have to take a look. It's going to be some time, please.
Well, you can look at the top. Well, let me ask you, ask it in question form. If you look through the log, it's in chronological order, the chain of custody log, correct?
By item, I believe, but I didn't take a deep dive into it. I have to take a look.
Do you see any
A deep dive.
item, especially focusing on item 712? Or item
Read the words, man.
712. You
I
see
need a
any
deep
item
dive.
being booked into the crime lab
An evidence
before
log.
March 14th, 2022?
All right, I'll take a look.
Yeah, he's got to take a deep dive to look at a couple sentences to see the log. Basically, he's saying, I'm going to sit here for a while just to annoy you. And I'm sorry, I should have cut this stuff out because it annoys me as well. As
I'm going
always.
to try to fast forward a little bit.
All right, yeah, do it.
As we sit here.
Right now, I don't have a memory of who I turned it over to, but it was a member of our
course not.
homicide team.
So the next time, sorry,
Three of you.
the next
Or four of
time
you.
there's any documentation about those items is March 14th, nearly 6 weeks later.
Yeah, that's a problem,
5
man.
weeks later, correct?
I don't know that to be correct, no.
But you can't point to any documentation. You're looking at the logs. You can't point to any documentation indicating the chain of custody of these items between February 10th and March 14th. Is that right?
This is simply a log from the lab.
Yes or no? Can you point to
Yeah.
any
No,
documentation?
You can't.
Ask
You can't,
the
dude.
question.
Can you point to any documentation indicating where those items went, whose possession they were in what circumstance, between February 10th and March 14th? Can you point to any document?
No.
I know that it was collected on February 10th.
Right.
It's documented that it was collected. It was at the Norfolk District Attorney's Office before it was. logged into the lab for processing.
You keep answering the same question that I'm not asking, sir.
Objection.
Sustained. No comments, Mr. Jackson.
Sir, to
Yeah, he
begin,
does-
do you understand my question? I'm asking, can you point to a single document for these jurors
No.
as to where those items went and in whose possession they remain, specifically between February 10th, when you lost sight of them, and March 14th, when the crime lab received them?
Objection.
Sustained.
Mayor Pro
Of
Tem.
course.
Yes.
Yeah, you may.
Bevan's getting upset.
Mr. Evans,
Yeah.
false start.
Well, I get it. You know, you're beating a dead horse. He's not going to say it. He's not going to admit it. You just got to move on. It sucks, but you got to move on. You know?
As the supervisor, you're generally aware of the evidence in this case, correct?
It depends, but very generally on most cases, yes.
As a matter of fact, as the supervisor, one of your duties would be to make sure that evidence is collected and processed appropriately and properly, correct?
Yep.
That is the standard, yes.
You're also aware that all of the physical evidence that was booked eventually
How about that?
at the crime lab on March 14th, 2022, was done so by Michael Proctor, correct?
I'm not sure exactly who delivered it or who booked it in. But if you have a document, I will reflect on it.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Take a look at that. Tell me if that refreshes your recollection.
Yes, it does.
May I approach?
Yes.
That was quick.
What is this document you just looked at?
It's the receipt of evidence submission to the crime lab.
And who submitted, based on that document, who submitted all of that evidence to the crime lab?
Michael Proctor.
You're also aware that Michael Proctor eventually submitted a total of some 46 or so pieces of taillight material that was claimed to have been recovered at 34 Fairview on since January 29th, 2022, correct?
I don't know the total pieces, but we didn't claim to recover it there. We recovered it there.
You're testifying that they were recovered, but you didn't recover all of them, did you?
I did not recover all of them, no.
Matter of fact, Michael Proctor, according to you, recovered some of those items, correct?
Some of those items were recovered by Michael Proctor, yes.
46 pieces of plastic.
And you're also aware that he submitted pieces of taillight material that he indicated he recovered as late as February 18th, 2022,
Wow.
correct?
I am aware that there was items recovered on February 18th. I am not sure exactly if it was him or someone else that recovered it.
You indicated, I think in direct examination yesterday, that as of February 3rd or February 4th, the weather had broken, generally, correct?
And the
It's getting
evidence
warmer.
magically appeared.
Yes, the weather was warmer. There were rainy days following the
Washed the evidence in.
the 3rd, I believe. No, the 4th. The 4th, it was raining when I picked up that piece of evidence. So, yeah, the weather had warmed up.
So it was raining and somewhat storming on the 4th?
There was precipitation when I recovered that item. I mean, I don't know if it was storming. There was a low
And yet he survived.
pressure cell coming through. I have no idea.
Okay, but that's the same day that you were told that Chief Burkowitz was driving by and saw the evidence.
The day I picked up the single piece with Canton PD present, it was raining.
So he would have been driving by, windows up,
And-
water on the windows, in the rain, and saw
Yeah.
the red piece?
Yeah.
You
Of course.
indicated that on February 10th, when you did your final visit, made your final visit to 34 Fairview, you indicated yesterday during testimony there was quote unquote very little snow still present, correct?
That's correct.
You
Doesn't
buying it,
smell
G?
right.
You buying
Doesn't
it?
smell right. No.
I ain't buying shit. 46 pieces of glass or plastic from a tailpiece? No. Mm-mm. And this is the only scene that evidence keeps arriving.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen? I've never been in a scene where just evidence keeps popping up and they don't
Yeah.
see it in a 5x5 square. And then a week later, they find new evidence. But they didn't see it then. And then a week later, they find more evidence.
If you're looking at that area and it's that small, you're going to find it the first day,
Right.
second day.
Right. 10 days later, and then within a month, 46 pieces of evidence just pop up.
Especially when
I ain't
the
buying
majority of
Mm-mm.
DNA is the blood, and you
Yeah.
collect that right then and there.
Yeah.
The rest you melt it with a blowtorch or whatever it is.
Sergeant, that's a 2-page document. Could you familiarize yourself with those 2 pages, please, and let me know when you're finished?
Unbelievable. This guy. Unbelievable. How much does he make? 400,000 a year? 500? Is he in the $1 million club?
It might be.
You know? All these cops make high six-figure salaries, and none of them know how to
So-
do anything, it seems.
47 pieces for a tail light, impact at 24 miles an hour.
Is unbelievable. Yeah?
It would be an impact with a bat to shatter it like that.
Repeatedly. To get
Wow,
47
so-
pieces, you're going to have to hit that a lot. Trust me.
Okay.
Thank you. Sir, what do those 2 pages purport to reflect? What are they pictures of? Just general, an evidence bag, something else?
The first one's an evidence bag with
Can you
some,
tell me the date, just so we can cut to the chase, the date of that evidence,
Exactly.
according to that?
on the bag,
bullshit.
the date is 2/11/22.
Okay, and what's the
On
second?
the sticker, there's another date. There's a sticker, March 9th of 22.
Okay, what's the?
There's also a date at the,
I'm just interested in the 2 pages, just generally. I need to mark it for evidence. What's the?
Bro, do you see how slow he started talking? Date of do.
Yeah, the dates are off. They're, like I said, they're finding evidence. Like every day they come back with a little bit more evidence, another piece. I'm sorry, man. Doing what we do. I don't see it at all. I'm sorry. I just don't see it.
Bukenik knows that his number has been called by Jackson. Now he's just being a dipshit.
Yeah. Now
Right?
you're just, yeah.
Jackson says, let's just cut to the chase.
Yeah.
Answer the question. I don't need no
Yeah.
explanations.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord.
second page is a large piece of red and black
This guy's talking.
taillight plastic cover, and it's identified by a lab number, I believe.
Bring this guy a cup of coffee.
Thank you, I'm sorry about that. So there's one
Okay.
page is an evidence bag, the other page purports to be the item that was in the evidence bag, correct?
I don't know that, no.
Okay.
It's just, one's an evidence bag with information on it, and then there's a photograph of a piece recovered. I don't know.
I'd like to have those marked and introduced as next in order A and B.
Is there any objection from the Commonwealth?
Hell no, no objection.
No objection.
No objection. Like I see it.
Exactly. You talk super slow when he lies and needs to think about his answer. You're right.
Yep. Mhm.
112A and B?
Your Honor, request to publish?
Okay.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Taking a look at this item, can you describe for the jurors what they're looking at, please?
This is an evidence bag. It is labeled with case number, date
Great detail.
collected, time, who collected it, description of items enclosed, the location it was recovered, and the victim's full name. It also has a to-scale ruler for the photograph and some identifying marks from the laboratory.
Can you indicate for the jurors who was it that collected this item according to the evidence bag?
According to this evidence bag, it was collected by Trooper Proctor.
And can you show the date, or tell the jurors the date that it indicates the item was collected, or items were collected?
I believe it says 2/11/22.
February 11th, so that would be the day after you were at the location, correct?
You said
It
10,
would be
bro.
the day after, yes.
Can we have the full screen, Mr. Woke?
Can't go back now. You already said
You
10.
see the designation at the bottom beneath the measuring ruler?
Thank you.
Yes, I do, yes.
Is there a case number or case designator starting with
Yep.
22?
The year. Yep.
Yes, I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe it's a LIMS number 22-02184.
And do you see an item number listed right next to that case number?
Yes, this indicates it's 7-15.
And there's another set of initials beneath that, it appears, correct?
That's what, I
AMV.
mean, there's letters. I don't know if there's someone's initials. I don't know what it is. I'm sorry.
Fair enough. This appears to be something that was filled out by the crime lab, the black lettering and numbering, correct?
I would assume. I
The ruler and
don't
everything, yeah.
know for sure. though.
Proper.
Okay, and obviously there's a date down here, 2/17/23, a year later, correct?
Yes,
And then it says Canton at the bottom.
yes.
If we could have the full screen, please.
A whole year.
Okay, you also indicated that there was a label up at the top,
Nothing wrong with that.
correct?
Yes.
All right. If
Perfect.
we could go to the second page, it would be page B of this.
There you go.
Can you
That
look
looks
at
normal.
first of all, look at the bottom and tell me if
Big piece.
that number
47 of those
designator
pieces,
appears to be
G?
the same as on the evidence, as on the previous page?
No.
The limbs or the item number?
The
The item
limbs.
number is 715.
Okay. And that comports with what we just saw in the previous page, correct?
Yeah.
That is the
Yeah.
same number.
All right.
Yeah.
This would be an exemplar.
Probably 7 of
One of the
15.
items in that evidence bag labeled 715, correct? There were several
7
items, but this is
of
one of them.
15.
Is that right?
15 items. This is number 7.
It's how the crime lab keeps them separate.
I believe so. I don't know their procedures. I
course
believe
not,
so. I
'cause
know they
he's an
use
idiot. Why would he know
alphanumeric identifiers. As I
You don't
can't
know how
testify to their procedures, why they do it, how they do it, or the sequence in which, or the choice in numbers or letters. I have no idea
It's pretty
about
similar.
any of that.
We can have the lights up with the court's permission.
Us,
Leave this up.
Henderson, Boulder City, we all have similar event numbers. Come on.
We do, and the thing is, though, the bag was labeled 7-15, right?
Yeah.
That piece of plastic was labeled 7-15.
15. Yeah. That's wrong.
But for us, if we put multiple items of same evidence,
Mhm.
that would be item 1
Yep.
of 15. The
Yep.
next one would be item 2 of 15.
Yep. Item
You
3
don't
of
label the
December.
whole thing
Yep.
7-15 and have 10 pieces in there. You don't do that.
That seems a little ass backwards, but
If you could leave that up, Mr. Wolf. All right. You can still see that on the screen, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. you went out to 34 Fairview on February 10th, 24 hours before February 11th, right? To pick up a piece of, I'm sorry, to look for additional items of evidence, correct?
I collected, I believe, 20 pieces in total, 6 and 14, the day prior, yes.
You see the size of this,
Yeah.
according to the ruler.
Where is all this plastic coming from?
Yes.
Yeah.
How many cars hit John?
The widest part.
They have enough plastic to build a car.
The widest part, it appears,
It's just a tail
there's
light.
no optical illusion with the ruler location, 6 inches.
Oh my God.
Okay. That's the 6 inches is the size of a dollar bill, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
It's a mirror
Pretty
image.
big.
Also, it looks like it may be more than that from top to bottom, 6 and
No
7
comments.
inches, top to bottom.
6 inches is big.
Possibly a little bit more, yeah.
Whoa.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
You didn't see this item on February 10th when you were there, correct?
Thank you, Lexi.
If I saw that item, I would have picked it up.
Right. Wasn't there, was it?
That's not what I'm saying. I said if I saw it, I would have picked it up.
But you didn't see it, did you?
I did not see it, obviously.
How did you
According
not
to
see
the information that we've just presented, this item was found the next day by Trooper Michael Proctor. Right.
Based on the information presented, that's what it says, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We can take that down.
He found a 1x1 square inch piece, but he didn't see that 6-inch piece.
Did you show Mr. Brennan? I didn't see.
Dude, these guys are so full of crap, man. I'm sorry. They're
My
actually, I'm not
eyebrow.
sorry.
They're so full
These
of
guys
crap.
are full of crap, man. I'm not apologizing for their friggin' integrity
Are you
problems.
familiar with that document? When I say familiar, that's a bad question. Let
No,
me ask it
bullshit.
a different way. Do you recognize what's generally in those 3 pages?
It's unacceptable.
I got to take a look.
Sure.
I must
Of course
have
you do.
missed your
Yeah.
first
Sure.
We got
request.
you. Fucking use your good eye and stare at the fucking paper. Doesn't remember what he did, doesn't remember who he talked to, doesn't remember who he dropped evidence off to. It's amazing their memories. Gonzo, I could ask you about our OIS when I shot that dude with the knives. 16 years ago, I bet you G would remember everything just like
Sergeant,
that.
can
You
you
look like
describe
Chucky.
generally, just very generally, so I can either
Just like
mark it or not mark it? Do you recognize what's depicted on the first page, the second page, and the third page?
The first page depicts an evidence bag from labeled date of collection 2/18/22. Second page is a
Got the 10th,
red
11th,
piece of
22nd.
plastic. And third page is also a photograph of a longer red piece of plastic with a little bit of black molding on
Thank
it.
you.
Your Honor, I would ask that that be moved into evidence as A, B, and
Thank you.
C subordinately.
Is there
See, we're
any
not crazy.
questions?
No objection.
Sliding all over here. I need a better stool. All right, where are we at?
Exhibits 130.
You guys awake out there?
B and C.
Good? Hang in
Yeah,
there.
they're
We're almost
rocking,
done.
dude. They're rocking.
Good.
Move to
If we're
public, Your
suffering,
Honor.
you suffer. We all suffer together. Yeah? All right.
Sergeant, same couple of questions, if we could. Do you see a date of collection on this evidence envelope?
Yeah, we do.
Yes, this photograph indicates 2/18/22.
And collected by whom?
Trooper Proctor.
Full view,
Surprise.
Mr. Wolk? Thank you, sir. And then if we could highlight the lower portion that appears to be by the ruler. Do you see the same, I think you called it a lens number?
Limbs, LIM.
Okay. The LIM number is the same number, the 22-02184, correct?
Yes.
And the item number in this one is handwritten as what?
7/16.
7/16.
Okay. If we can go to the second page, please.
Did we gain one?
I think
Gonzo?
so. The next day.
Do you see it, first of all, on the bottom?
He missed that?
The same item
That's
designated
like a
number?
landmine.
Yes, 7/16.
And what is depicted in this photograph?
A
That's a piece of
red
plastic.
piece of plastic.
That
That
you
would be
missed.
a piece of plastic according to the item number that would be contained in that evidence envelope, one of the pieces at least.
Bigger than 6 inches too.
I would assume.
Okay. Is that a similar 6-inch ruler that's being photographed with that red piece?
Yes, it is.
And how long at its longest point would you estimate that piece of plastic to be?
7.5, 8 inches.
It's more than 6 inches. I mean, probably
Yeah.
7, maybe.
Okay.
Next question.
Maybe,
And
maybe 7.
I know
How the
this
fuck
is
did you miss that?
a little bit of a challenge, but how from top to bottom, what would you estimate the distance to be at its longest point?
3,
Come on, dude, it's not
3.5
complicated.
inches,
Yeah.
I guess.
Okay, and then the next page, please, the following.
But you
the
missed-
final
you
page,
missed that.
Should be sub C.
Ooh,
Do
and
you see
that?
the same designator on the bottom right?
Same piece.
Yes, I do.
That's 716, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Appears to be out of the same evidence envelope, is that right?
That's what's suggested, yes.
And how long would you estimate this item to be?
Not suggested. That's what it is.
7.5, 8 inches.
And maybe, what, 3 inches tall?
Yeah. Big
4.
piece.
Yeah, 3.
Hard to miss that.
3.
Okay, we can have the lights up, Your Honor. With the
Hard to
court's
miss that,
permission.
right, America? In a 10 by 10
Again,
space.
the last time you were out at the location with very little snow on the ground,
You
you
missed
collected
it.
certain items of evidence on February 10th.
You found a small piece.
February 10th was the last time I collected. I said there was still snow on the ground, maybe in piles where it was excavated. There was very little, but there was still snow on the ground.
Yeah.
You indicated
They were just
that
happened to be in the piles of
you
snow.
obviously looked around the area, you talked about
Okay.
the general area. I think you used the word general vicinity, right?
Okay, I'm
Yes.
going to pause it for 1 sec, B.
Yes.
What's up?
So, 2 cars get in an accident, 10 miles an hour, right?
Okay.
And your training experience,
Mm-hmm.
how far is the debris going to be? Just headlights, taillights, or whatever.
At 10 miles an hour, it's going to be anywhere
Yeah.
from like 5 to 12 feet, 15 feet.
It's going to be all right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
yeah, depending. Yep.
Now listen, this is the trick part of it. We are a dry state, right?
Mhm.
So plastic's going to slide a little bit.
Yeah. And it's windy
Right.
here, so it blows. Yep.
So check this out. They're saying that there was snow on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mhm.
Plastic's going to fall, hit, and get stuck on the ground. You're going to have a little bit more resistance. Maybe not, right? But it's
Mhm.
going to be even closer compiled together.
It
Right.
will stick quicker. Yes.
Even the smaller shards are going to stop. So you're going to have a pool of pieces that's going to be real close. You
Sure.
find one, oh shit,
Yeah.
I'm going to start digging around.
And you can see the pattern as they spread out. You can kind of go, all right, there's a piece here. Okay, so I'm going to go this direction because this is where the
Yeah.
pieces are leading me. The fact that he's 46 pieces, that's completely, that's got to be fabricated because I've never seen 46 pieces on something like that.
Nope.
And he missed those
You
again.
didn't see this, and you
Unacceptable.
didn't see the one before it either.
Yeah.
Did you?
Lies.
If I saw any of these items, they would have been collected.
But you
We did
didn't.
not excavate anything. We
You missed the
simply
2 biggest
allowed the
pieces.
thawing and natural recession of the snow to reveal additional items.
I bet.
When you were there on the February 3rd, there was still some snow on the ground that you did excavate, correct?
Yes, there was a lot of snow on the ground. Yes,
By February 4th, that snow was dissipating some, correct?
it was, yes.
And you were excavating through that as well, correct?
On the 4th?
On the 4th?
No, we did not excavate on the 4th.
Oh, what are you,
The item
stupid?
revealed itself, and I collected it.
That was it, okay, fair enough. Then on the 10th, you didn't need to do any more excavating because there was quote unquote, in your words, very little snow. Very little.
No evidence.
Those
left.
were my words. Compared to the first day, there was very little snow on the ground.
And in
Should've seen
fact,
everything.
you did not see any of the items that were collected or claimed to have been collected at 34 Fairview by Michael Proctor on February 11th the day after you were there, correct? Did not
That
see
is-
that item?
Did not see that item, no.
And did not see any of the items that you've seen that were claimed to have been collected by Michael Proctor on February 18th, a week later, correct?
A
Those
week-
items were not observed by me, or else I
Another
would have
week.
collected them.
Another week later,
We can
more
take this
evidence
down.
just keeps popping up at this place. Magical place. The scene that keeps on giving, G.
Yeah,
Just keeps
with
on giving
videotapes
evidence.
and everything.
Yeah, it's like alive. It just feeds them.
It's Groundhog's Day.
Wow.
I want to change gears for a second, Sergeant, if it's okay with you, and switch to
Switch gears.
the Waterfall Bar and Grill. You indicated that on direct examination, you reviewed video evidence and you had information that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed arrived at the Waterfall after leaving C.F. McCarthy's, correct?
I know, right?
That is correct.
I'd like to ask you about who your investigation revealed was there at the Waterfall when they arrived. What about Bryon Higgins?
Yes, the investigation revealed Bryon Higgins was at the waterfall at their
Shit.
arrival.
And
on
you
camera.
learned that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed arrived at the Waterfall together, not separately, correct?
That is correct.
About what time did, according to your investigation, Mr. O'Keefe and Ms. Reed arrive at the Waterfall?
I believe it was 11:03, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong.
11:03.
When they walked in, you've reviewed the video, correct?
That's
Yes, we
obvious.
played it yesterday, yes.
When they walked in, Bryon Higgins was already situated in the Waterfall, standing or sitting at a sort of a high top bar table, correct?
Bryon Higgins was present. I don't know his exact location. The video would depict it.
You did learn that Bryon Higgins, on January 29th, January 28th, going into January 29th, 2022, had what could be generally referred to as a romantic interest.
Drama
in
going
Ms.
on in the
Reed.
chat or something.
Objection.
I think so.
Did you receive
Be
certain
nice, people. Be nice.
text messages from Bryon Higgins during the course of your investigation?
I received extraction of his text messages. I did not receive any text messages.
Did you actually receive an extraction from his phone, or was it simply text messages that he supplied to you on his own?
It was extraction of text messages on a CD and also printed out the same document.
Did you perform that extraction, or was that extraction performed at your request by Massachusetts State Police from his phone?
It was not performed by me, and it was not performed at my request.
Okay. So in fact, when you met with Bryon Higgins, he simply provided you something that he said had been extracted from his phone. Correct?
Sustained.
Did he provide you
Of
something?
course.
Yes,
Did Bryon Higgins indicate that he had taken those off of his phone?
Sustained.
What was your understanding about what the items were, the pages of text messages that you received? What was your understanding about where they came from?
from his device and his communications with the defendant and Mr. John O'Keefe.
But you did not have a forensic extraction performed, correct?
G's the man.
That's correct.
And Bryon Higgins never gave you his phone to perform a forensic extraction, correct?
That's correct.
So the items that you received were directly from him and him alone. Is that right?
He handed me the items. I don't know who else was involved.
So he
said him
extracted it
alone.
himself.
He handed
There you
me
go.
the items.
That's what I mean.
Well, you remember he went to his friend for
Yeah.
the FBI
The FBI guy. Yeah.
to handpick
Yeah.
the extraction.
Yeah. It was like a machine, like a photo booth
Uh-huh.
type machine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then he got rid of his phone.
Then he got rid of his phone
I just said that.
along with Brian Albert.
So let's roll.
Sorry, I'm tired.
You
Been a
reviewed
long
those
day,
text
people.
messages back and forth, correct?
It's been some time, but yes, I had.
And those purported to be, I think you already said, those purported to be two strings, I'm going to call them strings of texts, some string text messages between Bryon Higgins and John O'Keefe, correct?
Yes.
And some string text messages between Bryon Higgins and Karen Reed, correct?
Yes.
Would you describe the text messages between Bryon Higgins and Karen Reed that he presented to you as flirtatious in nature?
Oh,
We don't go over all the
Come on now.
texts. Too long.
Without having recently reviewed them in detail, I don't want to label it something without having
Bro,
complete
come on.
understanding of the content.
Lover's triangle.
I'm not comfortable labeling,
Awesome.
putting a label on something.
Well, how would you describe them? I mean, were these business texts?
It was.
No, these were,
Flirty.
friendly communications. Again, I don't want to put a label on it. They were communication between acquaintances or people that know each other. There was text message communication. As far as flirtatious, I would have to take a look at the content of it for certain
You did take
terms
a look
that
at
would
it. He made you read them.
support that label.
Well, do you remember a text message exchange about a kiss that was shared?
Yeah.
sustained.
Oh my
Do
God.
you
He
remember
already
any
said it in
text
the last
message
trial.
between the two of them that suggested a romantic interest, either one of them may have had based on the text messages?
Sustained.
May we approach your honor?
Yes.
Yes, you may approach, sir.
Were outside 34 Fairview in the early morning hours of January 29th, correct?
We did learn within our investigation at some point, yes.
And you learned, Sergeant, very early on in that investigation because you interviewed Ryan Nagel in February of 2022. It was just days after the event, correct?
I'm not sure of the exact date.
Obviously, as you just said, you became aware that Ricky D'Antonio and Heather Maxson were witnesses in your homicide investigation, important witnesses, you'd agree, correct?
They were witnesses.
You learned that they arrived at the house at 34 Fairview sometime after Karen Reed and John O'Keefe arrived and pulled up behind their parked SUV, correct?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
Can you repeat that, please?
Sure, you learned that where they fit into the investigative puzzle is that they pulled up behind Karen Reed's SUV when Karen Reed and John O'Keefe arrived at 34 Fairview. They pulled up sometime after that and pulled up right behind them, correct?
That's not correct.
What is not correct about that?
Please
They
explain.
arrived simultaneously. Karen Reed took a right onto Fairview. They yielded to them and followed towards 34 Fairview, stopping at the driveway as Karen Reed proceeded further up.
Did you listen to the testimony in this case up to this point?
No.
No.
Very specific.
Sequestration order, correct?
Bullshit.
Correct?
Yes,
That
yes.
is so specific.
The testimony of witnesses, eyewitnesses who were testifying in front of these jurors.
Correct, yes.
You don't know how witnesses have testified from that witness box in front of these jurors, correct?
I have no idea.
Correct.
Okay. So your information is that they pulled up simultaneously, correct?
Is that what you just?
He just said it.
That's my
Yeah.
memory from what the the interview produced.
He would have known if he wrote it down.
You certainly knew that there were eyewitnesses to the condition and the location of Miss Reed's SUV, correct?
The lack of pens.
Yes, yes, from their interviews, yes.
And you also are aware that they would have been in a position to see the occupants of Miss Reed's SUV as they were behind it and then pulled around it, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Did you become aware that they were in a position behind the SUV and as they pull around it, they could still see the SUV?
Objection.
Sustained.
Of course. Thanks, Bev.
You knew what potential role they played in your investigation as eyewitnesses, correct?
Yeah.
generally?
Yeah.
When we interviewed them, when we learned of their existence, when we interviewed them, we collected information based on their recollection.
Okay.
Just say yes.
My question was,
Yeah.
you're aware that they had a certain perspective
Yes.
as it relates to the SUV that
Say
night?
yes.
Early morning hours, right?
Based on their interviews,
Oh, God.
they had a perspective with the brake light being on constantly.
I'm not asking you what they said. I'm
Dude,
asking you
answer
if
the
during course of
fucking
your
question.
investigation You learned that Ricky D'Antano and
It's
Heather
stupid.
Matson had a perspective. They were eyewitnesses to certain things
Yes,
relative to the SUV. right?
yes.
Fucking say it. Thank you. Yes. Jeez.
You instructed your subordinate, Michael Proctor, to interview those witnesses in August of 2022, correct?
I'm not sure when they were interviewed. I don't have a memory of instructing him to go interview them.
Instructing.
Your memory is shit, sir. It's called selective memory.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
You may, sir.
Thank you.
Can you take a look at that document and tell me if you, why don't you just tell me if that, whether or not that refreshes your recollection as to communications you had with Michael Proctor specifically?
Just tell me what it is you're looking at.
Yeah.
What is it? I don't know. At least he's reading it. That's a good
Boy,
sign.
I hope this is true.
Oh, were they? I hope
I
so.
hope that's true.
Wouldn't that be great?
Yep.
Because I mean, we're cops, but I mean, a normal person's got to see this BS, right?
Yep.
Thank you,
America?
Sergeant. Does that refresh your recollection as to a conversation, or,
right.
I'm sorry, a communication that you had with Michael Proctor?
Unfortunately, it does not. I will take the document at face value. I do not have a memory of
Of course you don't.
having these communications, but I will take the document if it's authentic and it is true and accurate that it took place. But I do not have a memory of sending
you're
these
in court.
text messages.
It doesn't get more accurate.
Also, my name's
Pretty sane.
misspelled in there. Is that from the extraction, or where is that from?
Who gives a
Couldn't
shit?
tell you. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Got a girl fighting for her
can't-
life, and you're worried
I
about
can't
your
take,
fucking name
credit for
misspelled?
that.
Fuck off.
Thanks.
Sorry. Little rant. Get a little hangry.
If your memory is not refreshed about that particular communication, do you remember in general?
Nothing will refresh his memory.
Communicating with Michael Proctor about interviewing Ricky
Kicking the head.
D'Antano and Heather Matson.
I do not know. I'm sorry.
Would that have been something that you would have found important relatively early on in the investigation? Yeah, these are eyewitnesses, let's get them interviewed.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is important to interview anyone that's an eyewitness. Sometimes it takes longer because. Are you listening? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're listening. The fuck?
You asked the question. I just want to.
Hi, bro. We're here. Are you? Where the fuck are you? We're on Earth. Are you listening? No, we all fell
Are you
fucking
listening?
asleep, dude. In the middle of the corner, fell asleep.
Yeah, he's just talking to myself.
Hey, are you guys still there?
That's so funny.
Yes, sir. We're right in front of you. Can you see me?
Oh Lord, that was funny.
Answer.
I know the answer to my questions. Go ahead.
Okay. So while we want to interview every eyewitness, sometimes an important fact is already detailed and witnessed by another witness. So in this situation, we had already interviewed one of the occupants, the one that was driving, the one that had the observed the events taking place, and we asked him if we were going to talk to the other two, would they have the same recollection, observations? Did they leave the vehicle to go in the house at all? Anything like that? Anything different? So that's
Okay, so it would be important, obviously.
Are you all gonna say
to
something different?
interview
No?
witnesses in a
Okay.
timely manner.
In some instances, yes, yes.
Do you remember when Trooper Proctor actually interviewed Ricky D'Antona and,
Ricky Bobby?
I'm sorry,
Bobby?
when- yes.
I'm
when
driving
Ricky
fast,
Bobby and
Mom.
Michael Proctor interviewed Ricky D'Antona and Heather Matson.
I do not have a memory of that, no. I'm sure a report would indicate when.
I think we're about done.
What?
I think we're about done.
Oh, I told you.
Are you listening?
3 hours. Yeah, I'm listening.
Yes.
I hear you.
I may have misspoken.
We said we got an hour left.
I thought that was a report from somebody else. It's a report from you, actually. Tell me if that refreshes your recollection as to when Ricky D'Antona was actually interviewed.
I don't remember talking to
Yes,
him, but
this
if
report,
is real,
authored by me, was states that on Saturday, September 2nd, he was interviewed.
What
By
year?
you.
2023.
wow.
So that would have been a year and a half later, correct?
Yes.
Do you believe that's a timely report, or rather a timely interview for an eyewitness?
Yes.
The gravity of which is described in your report.
Yes.
We again, perfect ideal world scenario, it would be quicker.
It could have been.
So that would be.
Should have
No
been.
excuses, I'm not going to bars, but that would be untimely.
You would have done your job.
Year and a half later.
We do the best we can.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
You indicated that
That's
your
your
memory
best?
was that.
Gonzo, that's their
the
best.
Cars arrived simultaneously. That's a interview with Ricky D'Antona. You see the highlighted portion?
I see it.
Ricky D'Antona actually told you the car was parked, correct?
Objection.
The objection sustained.
Your Honor, may we approach with them?
What
Yes,
did he
can I
ask?
see that, please?
I thought he was making a statement. Is that it? I think that's it.
Yeah,
For this
that's
day.
it.
Yeah.
34 Fairview. Quote, a dark
Yeah,
colored
that's-
SUV was parked in front of the home facing up towards.
You can pause it there, G.
That's what he told me, correct?
Right? For part 2? Part D?
Yeah. So listen, Brian, you have an eyewitness. Wouldn't you want to interview them right now?
Oh my gosh. Absolutely. You want to get them? Hey, put us both on the screen, go.
Oh, yeah. My bad.
Well, I don't want them staring at a blue and red, whatever we got back there. Yeah, that's something that needs to be done almost as soon as humanly possible. Yeah, that needs to be taken care of just like that. 18 months later, that is utterly ridiculous.
We do the
Why
best
even
we
bother?
can.
Yeah, why even
We do
bother?
the best we can.
This was their best, America, right? I mean, he is telling you, he just told you this, we did our best. And I'm sorry.
With honor and integrity.
If that's your best, bro, nah, ain't cutting it. Ain't cutting it. Sorry. All right, it's been a long day. We are going to do part 2 of Bukenik this week, probably Wednesday night, I think. G, probably Wednesday
Yeah.
night live.
Wednesday night,
So
yeah.
if you're down for a Wednesday night live, we'll be here 7, probably late because we're always late. But if you'd like to join us,
Welcome.
we would welcome you. Yes, with open arms.
Yep. So,
So,
thank you
free-
for everybody watching, roll-alongs, the super stickers, the new members. Listen, this is a two-man show right now. I'm trying to watch what's going on, and I'm trying to watch the chat.
Yeah.
Something's got to give. I'm doing the best I can.
You're doing great.
Quote
You're-
unquote, Bukenik.
Oh, okay. Got you, G. I got you. I was gonna say you're doing
But
better
anyway.
than me. I can't watch, I can't listen and look at the chat and then listen. I mean, I can, but it takes away from, I really, for me, the chat is for when we do like the Q&As and we really get to just chat. When we're doing videos, I want to give you guys our best review of the video, so I really want to pay attention. So anyway, it's late. We're tired. You guys are tired. Thank you so much for joining us. Free Karen Read. Sign up on Twitter, X, your sister's ass, whatever. Just you hit the fucking buttons. You know what to do. Hit the like, whatever.
Also, buy merchandise because 100% of proceeds go to Karen Read.
Dude, we are the worst at like promoting for ourselves. We do have merch. We always forget to tell you guys, but every piece of merch you buy, profits all go to Karen. It's good thing.
Yep. Send us out, baby.
Send us out. All right. Thanks for watching.
And for those who are still serving, have a safe tour of duty.
And make a difference in someone's life. Stay classy, Las Vegas.
Always. Deuces.
Peace.
1 Sam 5 and 1 Sam 6, copy of 425 call.
Copy. 1 Sam 5 en route.
1 Sam 6, copy, en route.